Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Double Feature. I am one of your co-hosts, Colin Duncan, and my other co-host is here with me. Why don't you say hello, Zoheb?
Howdy guys, how you going?
Hey, we hope you guys are doing well. So we're here to cover one of our feature presentations. One of my favorite movies of all time, Shaun of the Dead. This whole trilogy is probably my favorite trilogy of all time. I've loved this movie ever since I was, a kid. I remember this coming out on DVD to rent, and a friend of mine bringing it over, and that's really like the first time I ever saw it. I think I was like 14, maybe. How old were you when you saw this, Zoheb?
Okay, believe it or not, I saw this after Hot Fuzz.
Oh, wow.
So my introduction to what's called the Cornetto Trilogy, Edgar Wright's Cornetto Trilogy, was Hot Fuzz back in 2007, and that's when I first saw it, and I was like, God damn, I love this movie. I loved Hot Fuzz. And then I went back and saw this. I do remember seeing all the posters and shit for this, way back in 2004 when it was at the movies. I can't remember what we were going to go watch. It must have been like a Harry Potter or something. And like, I remember seeing the poster and like, just how weird the posters were. It's literally just the Blu-ray cover. It's just him stuck in the train.
Yeah.
I think it's a train. And it's just literally like all the zombies behind him and he's just like stuck against the glass.
Yeah.
It's a great poster. But yeah, it would probably be around maybe 2007, 2008. So I would have been, 15 or so.
Oh, wow. Yeah, about the same age I was, yeah. It was funny because really the only reason that I saw this, when I was like 14 or 15, and I was like, oh, it's cool, and I didn't really get back into it again until high school. I was probably like 16 or 17. And honestly, one of the only reasons that I watched it right off the bat was I'm a huge Queen fan, and someone's like, "Oh, there's this great scene."
Nice.
There's this great scene in Shaun of the Dead with "Don't Stop Me Now," and I was like, "Oh, I've got to see that." So, I just brought it over to a friend's house and we watched it, and I was like, "This is one of the best movies." Like that's I didn't appreciate it when I was younger, but then when I went back and watched it in high school, I was like, "Oh my god, this is so good." And then, of course, Hot Fuzz came out, and it wasn't until, I feel like a lot later that World's End came out. I think that was like 2012.
There was a massive gap.
Yeah, right. And I read something about that they were basically like, if we didn't do it right when we did it, that it was never going to get done. And I was like, well, I'm definitely glad you guys did it, because I love that one as well. And I know a lot of people feel kind of like iffy about it, but I absolutely love World's End as well. But yeah, so this movie, 2004, directed by Edgar Wright, I think written by Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright, I think.
No, it's written by Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, actually.
Oh, really?
No. Oh, no, sorry, my bad. Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright. Sorry, I don't know where I got Nick Frost from.
Oh, no, I mean, because I wonder sometimes, because, like, if anybody here is a big fan of Spaced, I love Spaced. It's such a hilarious TV show that they did, and they did that over, like, 1991 to 2000, or 1999 to 2001, but he wrote that with Jessica Stevenson, who plays Yvonne in this TV show, and, like,
nice.
Edgar Wright didn't write anything on that, which I thought was really kind of weird, because he's usually always got a hand in the writing, but yeah, I've always been a big fan of this movie. I think that right around when this movie came out is when you got 28 Days Later, and kind of like the revival of this horror movie or zombie movie.
You got Dawn of the Dead as well, which is obviously what this is playing off, I guess, right?
Yeah, actually, I read I think it was the UK cinemas, they actually pushed the release of Shaun of the Dead back 2 weeks because they both released in the same year. So the studio wanted it pushed back 2 weeks because they just didn't want people getting confused. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to get into with this movie too. A lot of trivia, a lot of Easter eggs and stuff like that, which is why I love Edgar Wright. When you're watching the movie, you can just watch it on on surface level and face value and take it for what it is. But if you really want to start digging deeper, there's a wealth of stuff to get into. But yeah, I've always loved this. I've always loved this movie. It's really what got me kind of into British comedy. After that, I really started watching Little Britain and Peep Show, that Mitchell and Webb look, a bit of Fry and Laurie. There's
Fawlty Towers.
Do what?
Have you seen that? Fawlty Towers with John Cleese.
No.
Oh my god. Okay, so it's old British humor. I think the show was made in the 70s. There was only like 12 episodes or some shit. But dude, if you like British humor, definitely hit that up.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Because yeah, Hulu's been good to me about that. After Little Britain, I went and started watching Peep Show, and then some of the original Mr. Bean stuff, which was really cool. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much where I picked up with the movie and how I fell into it, and it's definitely, like I said, absolutely in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. And everybody debates about which one is their favorite in the trilogy, but I think as a film, I think this is better as a straight on film. I think Hot Fuzz is more. I think Hot Fuzz is more entertaining, and it's got a little bit more bang for its buck. And then I think World's End is like its characters and its emotion gets me. I feel like World's End has the most heart behind it, and I think that's why I like it a lot. But yeah, guess what the budget was on this movie?
Oh shit! You always drop this on me, dude.
I do. I'm surprised. I was like, dude, he's gonna catch on, and I'm actually really happily surprised you didn't get you weren't prepared.
You're like he's already looked that shit up.
Right.
No man, look, I'm gonna lowball it. I'm guessing it's something really small. Because this is Edgar Wright's first like sort of real actual movie. I think he did one before this. I can't remember what the name of it was called.
It's Fistful of Fingers.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, it didn't have anyone notable in it. Nothing like that. But look, I'm gonna probably say it's hard. It's tough because there's a lot going on in terms of production. Like it looks great. But it's still got that indie feel to me a little bit that Hot Fuzz doesn't.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say maybe 13, 14 million.
$4 million.
Holy shit, dude! That is tiny for this. What?
Yeah, and really, when you think about it, like because I read this, that the zombies in this movie are the Space fan club, and they paid them, I think, $1 a day. And that
Oh wow!
So right there, all your extras are just basically your hardcore fans. But yeah, it's shot on a budget of $4 million. Guess how much it made internationally?
Well, I just cheated you on that one because I'm looking at this one at that now. 30 million?
Ah, you bitch! Yeah, $30 million on a $4 million budget.
That's pretty good, dude.
Yeah, that's because I was reading Edgar Wright was like, man, we were trying to get this movie made and financing fell through and it kind of went into limbo for a minute. And he's like, I was like in the red with my money, and he had to borrow money from Simon Pegg and a few friends, and apparently to this day, Simon Pegg won't let Edgar Wright pay him back the £600 that he owes him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which if you
they come off as friends, like really close friends. So
yeah, which if you've seen World's End, there's a between Simon Pegg and Nick Frost's character where Simon Pegg owes Nick Frost £600 and he pays him back for it. It's actually really yeah,
interesting.
There's a lot of stuff like Pickle, like where Sean's mom called, that comes from Edgar Wright, and that's also in Spaced. Fried Gold is from Spaced. There's a lot of stuff. If you haven't seen Spaced or anybody else, I strongly urge you get it. It's really funny. It's only like 14 episodes. It ran for 2 seasons. But their commentary is great. Like they have commentary with Quentin Tarantino, Patton Oswalt, like David Cross. They have a lot of really good commentary. And Tarantino,
I actually really like all 3 of those people.
Yeah, Tarantino said it was like he was. I think on the front of the case that I've got, it's like Spaced is one of the best television shows around, except no substitute. And it's a quote from Tarantino. It's like, oh my god, that's great to have right there on the box.
Interesting.
But yeah, so what are your thoughts? What are your kind of feelings and memories on this kind of movie?
Okay. Well, Shaun of the Dead. It's a bit of a weird one. I definitely love this movie. I'm definitely on board with this movie. It's definitely a positive for me. I love the hell out of it. It's absolutely endless. It is actually endlessly rewatchable.
Yeah.
I think the problem for me was that I watched Hot Fuzz first. And then like when I went back and watched this, I'm like, oh, they're copying a lot of shit from Hot Fuzz, but technically it wasn't really copying it because this came out like 3 years before. So
yeah.
yeah, but look, I think for me, Hot Fuzz was just a little bit better, just because I like action movies, and that's definitely like a buddy cop action movie. Because all three of these movies in this trilogy focus on a specific genre, and like it kind of like takes the piss from that genre. So obviously this is like the zombie genre and the post-apocalyptic genre, and like I just said, Hot Fuzz is the buddy cop genre, and World's End is definitely science fiction. So it definitely like takes the piss from each of the genres. To be honest, I think if you look at it from that perspective on like how it takes a piss, the best probably Shaun of the Dead is the best one out of the three if you look at it from that perspective. But yeah, I just think Hot Fuzz is a lot more sort of rewatchable. It's definitely a lot more fun, I think. This I do like. This is a lot smarter with its sort of like camera work and the characterization. I think Shaun, especially my favorite part of this movie is the first half hour before like any of the zombie apocalypse stuff starts happening. I love the stuff with his relationship. I love the stuff with oh dude, don't even get me started on how like it sort of builds up to the actual apocalypse. Like that, it's just so smartly done. But yeah, look, first time I saw this, I didn't really think much of it because I was looking at it through the lens of like a serious zombie movie, which it could be. This could play as a serious zombie movie if you weren't told it was a comedy, because it definitely does have its big dramatic beats, with the comedy like on the background as well. But yeah, this is a comedy through and through though. Like this, there is no way this is not a comedy. Which is interesting actually, because the way this episode came about, Colin, if you remember, you're like, maybe we should do a horror movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're like, maybe we should do a horror movie. And for me, okay, I'm really picky with horror movies. I'm like, oh god, I don't know. And then like, we went through something like 30 horror movies, and I was just like, no, 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 no. And then I'm like, let's see if we can sort of bend it a little bit. I suggested Scary Movie, and then you're like, oh, we'll get to that eventually, but you wanted something a bit more substantial, and I was like, what about Shaun of the Dead? And you're like, yep, we've got it. Yep, that's it. That's the one. So yeah, man. Look, I definitely dig this movie. I love the hell out of it. It's not in my top 10, but it's definitely great. Like I said, I do lean towards Fuzz a bit more. My friend and I actually do have like an argument about this, like all the time. Like he loves Shaun of the Dead, and I'm like, oh no, man, Hot Fuzz is better. And I made him watch Hot Fuzz, and he's like, yeah, no, Shaun of the Dead's better. So look, it's just one of those movies for me. It comes really close to Hot Fuzz, but it just doesn't beat it. But in terms of like Edgar Wright's sort of filmography as it goes, it's definitely way up there. I think you and I were talking about it earlier, as to which one of his movies that we like the least. For me, it was The World's End. I think for you, it was Baby Driver. Which is just which means we're probably going to cover Scott Pilgrim at one point.
Yeah, that's probably the one I've seen the least, but I really like the whole thing behind with the music, because Edgar Wright with his music in his films, it's just absolutely a two-punch knockout. It's fantastic. So to get a movie that's centered around music was sure. Such a good idea.
For sure, and Baby Driver leans into that heavily as well.
Oh yeah,
in terms of its technical editing and things like that. But yeah, man, look, like I said, I love the hell out of this movie. Simon Pegg brings so much to this role. I can't see anyone else playing this character besides Simon Pegg.
Oh yeah.
And not to mention, this is the first time we see the amazing pairing that is Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Like, seriously, those two are so good together, and you can totally feel the dynamic, like their real life dynamic.
Right.
It's just so natural, man. But yeah, look, I watched this with. I watched half of this movie with the Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg commentary, and my fingers got tired from typing all the trivia that they just kept spurting out, so I just like gave up, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna watch the movie.
Yeah, there's just so much. I mean, it's insane for how on it's a $4 million budget. When you think about where the film is taking place, in a pub and then at Shaun's house, and it's really just goes from Shaun's house to the Winchester, back to Shaun's to his mom's to Liz's, back to the Winchester. It's not really like, I think they really put their money in the best spots, which is obviously their design of the zombies and the graphic effects and stuff. Because for this being a comedy, I mean, Jesus Christ, not only is it because, like they said, this is not just a comedy movie with zombies. It's a zombie movie with a little bit of comedy sprinkled over it.
Yeah.
So there are.
How do you rank this among other sort of zombie movies, like in terms of like straight serious zombie movies? Because like, okay, look, I haven't seen the original the original Dawn of the Dead.
Me either.
But I did like the remake, and I think this is up there, man. Like in terms of like how serious it is, and like the weight to all the dramatic elements.
Yeah, I think that the reason why the movie works so well is because the humor is, I know I use this word a lot, juxtaposed really well with the horror, because the world that's going on around them. Part of the humor is that they're just so oblivious to it at the beginning. Like you're talking about, that first half hour is just comedy gold, because you have these two guys who are just
idiots.
Yeah, idiots. Like, I think there was a tagline in the movie at one point that was like, "Who better to fight zombies than two guys with no brains?" It's and it fits it so well. I think that I'm a big fan of actually the remake of Night of the Living Dead, the 1991. I grew up watching that a lot. It's really good, actually. It's directed by Tom Savini, who's just a special effects god. If you don't know who he is, Google that shit.
We talked about him in the Django one, yeah.
Yeah. He directed that, and it's got Tony Todd in it, and like a lot of really good people. Tony Todd, who's played Candyman and stuff. But I think it's really good. But in terms of like a zombie movie, I definitely like the 28 Days Later films, 28 Weeks Later. I think they're both really good. But this movie just brings something, like, it brings the zombie level that they bring, but also with this really unforced kind of sense of humor. Like, it's so natural, like just the way that they come across in their humor. It's not like, I don't know, because this is why I love British comedies way more than American comedies right now. This is tightly scripted. There's not a lot of improv. This is very blink and you miss it sometimes kind of jokes, especially with the dialogue. If it's not your native tongue, like you're used to hearing it in, some of those jokes will just go right by you, or sometimes even right over your head. And I think that you got to kind of stop to appreciate it sometimes and think about what's being said versus, here in America, it's very like, there's like a lot of awkward situational kind of comedy, and I don't know, kind of like with the new Ghostbusters movie, it's just so heavily improvised, and I'm just not a fan of like really, really improvised humor, except for the stuff on The Office, because those guys are fantastic at improvised
I was literally
humor.
about to bring that up. I was like, dude, one of my favorite comedies is the US Office.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, look, I totally get what you mean. And that's definitely in that show that I talked about earlier, the Faulty Towers. Definitely check it out. But yeah, man, like this is, I just love how relatable this movie is. Like the two leads are just so relatable, and you said it's definitely got that drama, it's got that comedy, but you know what it also has that a lot of zombie flicks don't. It's got a lot of heart. Like
oh yeah.
There's so much heart to it, like with his mom and with Nick Frost's character. Oh God, fuck, I forgot his name.
Ed.
Ed. Yeah, shit, Ed. Yeah. It's definitely got that emotional stakes to it as well.
Absolutely, yeah, and they bring all of that and more, and I think that's why it ranks so high. I mean, it's got 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's amazing. That's so good.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, with that being said, you want to go ahead and jump in, or is there anything else? You have any other trivia or anything you want to throw out there before we get started?
No, man. Absolutely. Let's jump into this bitch.
Now, some of these are limited.
Whoa! What was that?
I think it was Blue Monday.
Man, there was an original press out.
For fuck's sake. Purple Rain. No. Sign of the Times.
Definitely not.
The Batman soundtrack. Throw it. Okay. Oh, Dire Straits. Throw it. Oh, Stone Roses. No. Second Coming.
I like it.
Oh, Sade. That's Liz's.
Yeah, but she did dump you.
Oh. There's some gun in the shed.
He said it was locked.
Yeah, first shot, I love that. We immediately get that ding ding, and there's Shaun sitting there, just that hard cut on Shaun.
Just his face.
Yeah, just sitting there having his drink, and Shaun is dating this girl named Liz, and obviously their relationship is starting to hit that kind of shit or get off the pot time, because
impasse.
Right, and Shaun is still stuck in these really boyish ways, which I think it's why I love this movie so much. I really relate to Shaun. I'm is a big fan of a lot of like dorky, nerdy kind of things. I absolutely get it, and but Liz, she has really good points. You have to be an adult, and you can also do the things that you love, but at some point, we got to have something else kind of going on in this relationship, and I love the jokes in this. If you blink and you miss them, there's the way that they cut each other off with dialogue. And I love. She's like, it would be nice. It would be nice if we could just fuck. And you hear Nick Frost in the background. It's so good the way they're cutting each other off.
Just even like before that, I love the reveal of like Nick Frost just standing like right there at the arcade game.
I mean, it's not that I don't like Ed.
Yeah, and then it's like to the left. But yeah, like that happens later with the two roommates, with the two friends as well. Like it's just you think it's just this like really intimate conversation, but like really it's not. Like there's actually people there.
It's and it's really just literally panning, maybe 2 feet to the left, and there they are, like right there. But she's just basically talking about we can't you bring Ed out, so I bring my friends out, and it only exacerbates things. What's that mean? It means to make things worse.
That comes back. Yeah, I love that how that comes back. Like there's a lot of stuff like that comes back.
Right. Yeah. There's so much stuff that repeats itself, and I think that's fantastic. And I love that, it's just that Ed doesn't have too many friends. Can I get any of you cunts a drink? It's like, God, dude, like just his Nick Frost, I think, really steals the show in this movie as someone who's not an actor. Nick, like Simon Pegg's acting credits are, through the roof now. And Nick Frost has definitely done, some things outside of the Cornetto trilogy. And, but I mean, really, from what I've read, this guy was just working in a Mexican restaurant and met Simon Pegg through some girl, and they just became like best friends. And he's like, man, he's like, you've got the potential to do this. We just, and apparently a lot of this is based off their relationship in the early stages of their friendship, where they were sharing a flat, and he was working and Nick Frost wasn't, and it's really interesting because that comes across so strongly, and I think it really takes a lot for Nick Frost to play a character that's this kind of he's definitely lovable, but he's kind of a can't get right. He's kind of a fuck up,
he's definitely got a few screws loose.
Right, and I think to have for him to just be like, yeah, that's how I was back then, and I can totally play that character, and I think that takes a lot on somebody who's not even an actor, to just be like, yeah, I kind of was this guy, this shitty guy, and I gotta play this, and that really shows a lot. For somebody who's not even really, he's definitely an actor, but to kind of be, I don't know, swept along into this with Simon Pegg and Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright, it's just awesome.
Can we talk about? You brought it up earlier. The line, "Can I get any of you cunts a drink?" Can we talk about the word cunts?
Yeah.
Like, okay, is it offensive to you guys in America?
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I'm not offended by it, but I guess it's. I know. I think it's way more offensive with women. I think I think if I were to walk
for sure.
up,
I wouldn't say it to a girl, but
no. I mean, I would. I'm just saying. No, but no, absolutely. Yeah, it definitely has some kind of weight depending on who you say it to.
That's interesting because, like, I think if you look at this movie being a British movie, we didn't also mention that this movie is so fucking British.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think if you look at the culture in Britain and also in Australia, like, because they're very similar, like the way we speak and things like that, cunts, it's obviously a very bad word here, but it's like in context, it's very endearing. Like, believe it or not, I saw a meme not too long ago. I mean, like it's been around forever, this meme, but it's basically like Australians call their mates cunt, and they called cunts mate. So like if you're being serious with someone that you don't like and you're trying to make a point with them, you're like, mate, let me talk to you for a second. But if you call someone a sick cunt, that means that you like them.
Yeah, no, totally. It's like, what's up, bitch? Like I say that all the time to people at work. But if I come like, hey, dude, listen to me. Like there's a dude or buddy, like that's kind of the hey guy. It's like that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's exactly the point I'm trying to make. So it's like that's what I kind of want to just get a sense of. Like it's just that different sort of like culture shift. I guess it takes being halfway across the world for that kind of for that to happen. But like you and obviously Britain are like across the pond. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm stuck in because I'm watching this and I just saw the scene with Dylan Moran, who plays David.
Oh,
and
boy.
God, who's talking about wanting to hold somebody under the bathwater. Like,
damn
Jesus. He's, there's something, because right when he, you do have to, I know that friends are important, Shaun, and you can tell by the look on Shaun's face, he looks at Liz like, why the fuck is he talking to me? And I love that.
Like, why the fuck is he here? Why, this Harry Potter looking motherfucker, like he's just someone that looks like he got chucked and just absolutely destroyed in high school. Like he got locked up in a locker, he got left in there for the whole hour of lunch, and he didn't come out until he was like dehydrated as shit. And god damn it, like this guy, you just want to just absolutely punch in the fucking face.
Yeah, this immediately. There's not like that. They set this guy up just be so unlikable. But
you know what I love?
What's that?
Shaun hug lumps.
Yeah, that thing. Oh, it's so great. That thing smacks him. Yeah. But yeah, she's basically saying, I want us to have some quality time together. It's and she still hasn't met his mom. And I love it. Do you love your mom? Do you not get along with your mom? No, I love my mom. I love his mom too. She's like butter. It's that's so many good lines in this. You can just quote it all fucking day.
Apparently, Frost came up with the singing himself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like that was all his idea, and that was all him.
That's fantastic. I totally believe that.
Oh, for sure.
But I love this whole thing. Ed, Shaun, Liz, and like the way it's really quick. The editing, everything is just so well done. I mean, right off the bat,
Edgar Wright.
Right. Yes. The editing, his editing is absolutely flawless. I think he's one of my favorite directors. I think he absolutely crushes it. So. But we've got Shaun, that his tagline of this whole movie should be, I promise, absolutely, we're going to go out, to the little place that does all the fish, blah, 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 which is hilarious because when he flips open the phone book later and he points to the place and it just, pulls up really close on it literally says the place that does all the little fish. Like it says this, it's
That's great.
So great. But yeah, he's basically, I promise things are going to get better. We'll change. We'll do stuff. Blah blah blah. Basically just almost kind of bargaining at this point. It's like a stage of denial. In a way. And we get this opening montage of just these people just trudging. Everybody,
real life zombies, right?
Right, and a lot of these people come back later as zombies. Like
they all do.
It's so fantastic, especially later on when he's in the shop and he's no beer today, my friend. The guy behind him is the one who comes into their apartment with the arm off. I was like, holy shit!
Arm. Yeah. This opening title sequence was done after the shoot, so everyone already had kind of like done their little bit roles as the zombies and stuff. And Edgar Wright said it was a nod to the opening credits of Day of the Dead. I haven't really seen Day of the Dead, so I'm not too sure how sort of accurate that is, but yeah, I mean, like, I do love that he's sort of paying homage to all of these like George Romero flicks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming up that pays a lot of homage to George A. Romero. Even there's one, the whole "We're coming to get you, Barbara" line is straight out of the original Night of the Living Dead, which is really funny because they
rest in peace, George Romero.
Yeah, right. But they privately screened this for George Romero in his home in Florida, and apparently that line just went right over his head. He had no idea that there was like, oh, yeah. He said later on he was talking to Edgar Wright, and he's like, oh, yeah, now that you mention it, yeah, that line does sound familiar.
He was old as shit at this point.
Oh, yeah. But so yeah, we see Shaun waking up, that epic shot of the feet, and like kind of like that red herring of this guy. It kind of psychs you out at first, and you're like, oh no, he's just sleeping, and it sets up the tone for the movie really well. I think with just him, him yawning and coming in and waking up for work. Just this, God, the living room. There's like bongos on the floor and like a pizza box. And
I've got a little note on what's on the table there. I actually wanted to ask you this. So I was listening to the commentary at this point of the movie, and Edgar Wright said that he thinks. Okay, so in our version, there's like a little... I'm not sure if you can see it. There's like a little black baby with a sombrero on it. Is that in your version on the table? It's on the far right-hand side.
I'm not sure. That's like... I was... Not that I've really like super noticed before,
because obviously it's super like racist, and they realized that it was there in post production, and apparently it's been CGI'd out of the American version.
Oh wow, yeah, that's kind of just what you were talking about too. Just culturally, some things just don't mean the same thing at all, but.
Yeah.
But no, it's not there. I don't see anything.
Oh
there.
wow, that's crazy! It's like super like noticeable. Like it's literally like a little black baby like bending over on all fours, and like on its back is like this massive like sombrero.
No, because I've got it on DVD from I think when it first came out, so I'll check that out and see if it's in there. But yeah, I love that sitting down and player 2 has entered the game. Don't you have work? Player 2 has left the game. Which the game they're playing is a really good game. Time Splitters 2. That was a really fun game.
I picked that up. Yeah. But I read that the quick cuts, like the Edgar Wright trademark quick cuts.
Oh yeah.
He said they're homages to Sam Raimi and James Cameron. And so like instead of like guns and like reloading and things like that you'd see in like Evil Dead and sort of Aliens, it was with like mundane things like brushing teeth, like washing his hands in the sink and things like that. So it really plays well to the nature of this movie. Like it's like an everyday man. Every man sort of coming across all this like apocalypse.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not Fallout. Where we're 100 years after the apocalypse and everybody has Mad Max. Like everybody has a sawed off and like like shoulder pads and stuff. It's kind of cool to see. Yeah, like you said, those mundane things. Which and this guy, I can't remember the actor's name who plays their roommate, but he's Dwayne.
Yeah, Peter Serafinowicz.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was. Yeah, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say he played Darth Maul.
What?
Yeah, that's him.
No way. I thought it was Ray. I thought that was like Ray Park.
Yeah. So believe it or not, two people played Darth Maul. So Ray Park, I think Ray Park did the physical, and he did the voice.
Oh.
Or it could be the other way around, but I think it's actually that way. So Ray Parker's the physical, and he did the voice, because he's like, at last, it will be the end of the Republic. At last, it will be the rise of the Sith. You know what he said? I can't remember the fucking movie.
Yeah, right. But I can believe it, because this guy's voice is epic. He's also played Dwayne in Spaced, which is the TV show they did before this.
Right. He plays the Tick now on I think it's Hulu.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, you do know the front door was open again last night. And I love that he just adjusts the mirror and sees him behind him, which is going to come back again later. But basically, kind of now Shaun's feeling the same pressure again from his roommate. We can't live like this. Look at the state of things. Blah blah, and there's trash everywhere. I'm not saying it was you. I know, man. I'm saying it was Ed. Right. And that takes a little bite of his toast. But yeah, the place is just basically a pigsty. There's trash all up against the door. The whole place looks just, like I said, we're not in college. We're not in college anymore. And, Ed's just basically living on our couch and not contributing anything, and, he brings in a little bit of money. Yes, selling weed, and
He's like, you sold weed? Yeah, in high school. Oh, what? In high school to me.
Yeah, he's like, once at college to you.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, he's, basically just saying the same thing that Liz is saying. It's like, we just can't keep living like this. We're not, we're not in our mid-20s anymore. And, there's people our age getting married, having kids and buying houses. And it's kind of, it's like Ed is really Shaun's kind of like last link to this world, because Shaun does, I mean, you get the feeling like he wants to be a part of both of them. Like he wants to dick off and play Time Splitters too. But yeah, I do want to go out for our anniversary and have a good time. And there's, he's, for anybody who's a fanboy of anything, or anybody who's really into, comic books or cosplaying or anything like that, which kind of stuff that I'm into, there's the constant kind of pressure to like, why do you still do that? Why don't you grow up? Why do you still play video games? And stuff like that. And I think Shaun's starting to feel that kind of pressure. But there's always a good way to just balance those. You can always balance them.
Dude, it's so relatable. I'm looking at my bookcase right now. So on the top shelf, I've got what I got. I got a Deadpool comic. I got Batman: The Long Halloween. I got like a few comics, and like I've got like all these like nerdy little toys and shit like that. And then immediately beneath under that, I've got all these textbooks: criminal procedure in Australia, administrative law. It's just like the like the juxtaposition is ridiculous, and like this movie's kind of hitting me in the feels right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally get it, because it's kind of it's kind of the same thing here, because we've got a lot of my books, which is like screenwriting books and Stephen King and stuff like this, and then there's Lindsay's books, which are about she's a teacher, better classroom management and blah 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 and this and that, and I'm like, oh yeah, yours looks a lot more adult than mine, But yeah, basically, he's just saying, we've got to grow up. When is Ed going home? It's like it's time for him to go home. And anybody who's had a friend like this can totally relate. And it absolutely makes sense. And now it's, hey, we're pushing 30. They probably are 30 or over 30 at this point. But it's like it's time to become an adult. Time to.
Well, that's something I wanted to bring up, because Simon Pegg says he's 29 in the next scene, and I'm like, you are not a 29-year-old.
No. I mean, I'll be 28 in June, and I'm like, dude, there's no way. Like now, I think he's like mid 40s.
Yeah.
So he's probably in like his mid 30s in this, or early 30s, But yeah, that's just so great. I love as he's talking to him, and he's like trying top left, reload. Yeah, I'm on it. And before he can even get the words out, there's there's a roommate in the bed. Ed, do you think that you could tidy up a bit since you're not working? And he's like, and when you check the messages, can you take down everyone's and not just your own? Yep. It's not that hard, is it? Writing something down on a little scrap of paper. And I'm like, dude, that guy's right behind Dylan Moran in the drowning pool. I'm just like, dude.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a moment here where Ed scratches his balls.
Oh yeah.
So that's Nick Frost actually scratching his pubes. That's the sound of it. But obviously he's not doing it in the scene. But that's the sound of it. Like he must have recorded it later or something.
Yeah, I read that he actually shaved his like pubic hair so the itch would seem, because he does it like it's kind of like a character trademark. And apparently he shaved it so he would constantly be doing it and it would seem natural. I was like, oh my God, great. Like that's hilarious. But he's got that big "I am a prick" on his jacket as he walks out.
When did he do that?
I know, right? It's like, dude, if you're that good, you need to apply that and get a job somehow. You're like a fucking wizard.
I know. He must have like done it, I don't know, like in his wardrobe or something.
Yeah, right. Just crept up while he was sleeping or something. Yeah. But yeah, Shaun's like, will you do it for him? No, I'm not doing anything for him. Well, do it for me. And he's trying to appeal to him, like, please, like, I'm in the middle of this, like, I'm trying to be both friends to you guys, and it's not going well. Got that whole "I'm sorry, Shaun," which will come back later. With him farting. I love that. And just right as Shaun leaves, that phone goes off. Get it? You get it? And it's Liz. It's like, no. He's like, just barely misses that message of her trying to say, when you book the table, book it for, either book it earlier or later. I can't remember which one she says. But basically, yeah, it's like he's totally, he's obviously totally forgotten about it. And it's just so tragic when you see him go out the door. It's like, no, like, dude, come on, like,
absolutely.
Especially after seeing it so many times, how that's going to impact the story later on. But with this epic one-track shot of him going to the store.
Oh my god, I fucking love shots like this, man.
Yeah, and again, totally going to come back again later.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think actually Edgar Wright said that this was either this one or the next one was the first shot they actually did.
Yeah, I think it's this one. Oh, no, sorry, it's the next one. And in both instances, there are literally, like, people, they had to block this straight off, and there are literally, like, people wanting to, like, get to work and stuff. They're trying to get into this, like, supermarket. So it's like, when they're outside on the street, they're literally, like a millisecond, or, like a millimeter away from, like, being inside the shot.
Oh my god, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, he goes in, buys his drink, no beer today? Yeah, I love that guy. He's like, no, it's a bit early for me, thanks. But yeah, we've got Shaun on his way to work, all these people, just staring dead ahead or like, just drifting off. They look like just comatose almost, the people on the bus with him. And
it'll be a lot worse today. I mean, sometimes I look up from my phone on the train these days and like everyone's just like glued.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. It's either just staring off into space or just phones in the face kind of thing, which I don't blame them. It's like I would probably do the same thing. It's like, I don't want anybody to look at me or talk to me and just get on the phone. But yeah, we see that woman kind of collapse outside the bus, which is the first, an indicator that something might be up. And then immediately the next scene, apparently the place that this is Forey Electronics. This is apparently a throwback to Ken Forey. He's in Dawn of the Dead and I think a few other horror movies, the original Dawn of the Dead. And
just while we're on that, I know that I think Edgar Wright originally wanted to have Shaun wear this sort of uniform throughout the movie, and he described it as sort of like a Tandy John McClane. I don't know if you have Tandy there, but it's kind of like just like an electronics shop. And they all just kind of like wear this like really boring outfit like what he's wearing now. But yeah, you get the John McClane reference with the singlet, the white singlet. Like throughout the movie. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And also in this scene, this is Rafe Spall. So he was in Prometheus. I think he's going to be the villain in this new Jurassic World movie coming out. He's the son of Timothy Spall, who was in Harry Potter. He played Wormtail. But essentially, like on the other end of the phone here, that's actually Edgar Wright's voice on the other end.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I didn't know. That's crazy. But yeah. So one of the things that I love is when he comes in, he's like, as well as Sloan being sick, Ash is also under the weather, which is actually a reference to Evil Dead.
Yep.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of this trivia stuff. I would be taking charge as the oldest. He's like senior staff member. I love it. And this guy's also in Hot Fuzz. He's one of the Andys.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's in World's End. He's actually he's Martin Freeman when he's showing them houses. There's a couple that he's showing a house to, and it's that guy, which I thought was really cool. Somehow found a way to wedge him in there. But yeah, so obviously none of these kids take this guy seriously. He doesn't even take himself seriously. He's just trying to put on a face just to, all right, guys, just want to get through this day. I don't want to do this. You don't want me here. I just want to get this over with. But yeah, I love, right in the middle of it, the phone goes off. I spoke to him. He's only got a Henry, which I believe I think that's an eighth of weed. Yeah, like Henry VIII, which is really, really clever kind of like terminology. And and some of that terminology will come back again later, like with a scene coming up that I don't want to spoil yet. But yeah, I love that. Keep your hair on, Granddad. What? Hold on. I'm only 29. How old are you? 21, 22, 17? I think that's great. Just immediately, I've got things I want to do with my life too. Win. Yeah, and it's great. That's just fantastic, and it's really, and fuck you. Who are you? Who are you, kid? But at the same time, the kid's absolutely got a totally valid point. When are you gonna do the thing that you want to do with your life? Which is, as I know, a lot of people that I know, I'm just a little bit older than you, not like not like, oh, I'm 28 and you're 24.
Oh yeah, I'm 24.
Yeah, it's not that much of a difference, but seeing a lot of my friends now who are like buying houses and having kids and getting married and stuff, there is that kind of like, you feel like that pressure, especially someone who's a fan of, this kind of stuff of playing, Star Wars, Stranger Things, Monopoly, and and stuff like that, like really nerding out sometimes.
Nerd!
But yeah, and I love that guy's phone goes off again. Hello, mate, and he just walks off, and the scene ends.
We get Bill Nighy, man. I love Bill Nighy. How awesome is this guy? For those of you that don't know, Bill Nighy played Davy Jones in the Pirates of the Caribbean, and he's just like, he's all around. He's in a lot of movies, but like when he did this like dramatic turn, apparently he did it on like 1 foot, so it was like really funny, like when they shot it.
Yeah, it's always, I've always wondered how he did that, because it's just so like he just turns so quickly, and it's great. But yeah, obviously we can tell they don't have the best relationship, and telling him when to be there and what to bring. Perhaps you could bring some flowers you forgot to bring her on Mother's Day. I was gonna, and not a cheap posy from a garage forecourt. I wasn't gonna. I love, their dialogue is so good, and Bill Nighy is so good with his face, just expressing himself through facial acting, and you can tell, he's not making eye contact with Shaun. He's just kind of like, I'm doing this as a pleasantry because, my wife is your mother and we just have to get along. But we've got that infamous line right off the bat, "You've got red on you." That's really, that was our hint for this movie, one of our hints. And the other one,
the only hint.
No, there was the one about Chris Martin being in this movie twice.
Okay. Yeah.
And which actually, we'll get to it at the end, but he's outside the pub when Liz and Shaun raise up. He's like right outside that phone booth. There's Chris Martin right there, which he's apparently really good friends with Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg's the godfather of his kids and stuff, which is, okay, cool. I love Coldplay. I've seen them live. They're a really good band. But yeah, we've got Noel coming up on him right away. It's like, I thought you said no one's on the phones. What? I love, he just immediately and the music hits right, and it scares the shit out of Shaun. But I basically saying, how come you're allowed to talk to your dad? And again, that first line, A, he's not my dad, he's my stepdad, and B, it was an emergency. What, like bring your mom some flowers? But I love all that, and then obviously, I despite what you believe, no, I do not find it hard to keep my life, my work and social life separate. And of course, there's the phone call from Liz just coming into frame, such an Edgar Wright frame, something being brought into the frame, and it's really comedic, it's really funny. But again, God, just the tragedy, and So, did you get my message? Yep. So it's all on then. Yep. The place that does all the fish. Yep. And he's just, oh my God. And the kid doesn't even buy it. He doesn't give a fuck. He's not buying, because he literally rolls his eyes after Shaun gets off the phone. And yeah, it's just just the tragedy there. I'm like, oh, you idiot! Like, you fucking idiot. But yeah, I think that whole scene is really great. Especially, the next one coming up, he's gonna go buy his mom some flowers.
Yeah, super mom.
Yes, super mom. Oh, pow, super mom. But then again, then we're cutting back. We see this guy trying to eat the bird. Kind of another indicator, like, what the fuck is going on? But yeah, and just the whole, again, him on the bus, we've got that lady coughing on him, like right next to him.
Dude, with that lady, as she like puts her head on his shoulders, and like he pushes her off, I can relate to that so much because I commute to work every hour to and from back, like home. It's so true because like people fall asleep on your shoulders. It's the worst.
Oh, dude, I'd be like, hey, wake the fuck up, dude.
Well, I give them a nudge, like similar to what similar Simon Pegg does here, and like I give them like a violent nudge. I'm like, you're in my personal space, bitch.
Yeah, you're on a public. Like, I can understand. Lean the other way, fall asleep all you want, but dude, I am not a human body pillow. Like, get the fuck off me.
I know. I'm chubby. Like, I have a lot of meat, so I know I'm like.
Same here.
I know I'm like, I'm probably comfortable, but fuck you. You're not sleeping on me.
Yeah, right. At least slip a 10 into my pocket. Maybe then we can talk. But Jesus Christ.
At least buy me dinner first.
Yeah, right. It's and keep your hands above the fucking waist. But yeah, I love this. He bumps into Yvonne, who's played by Jessica Stevenson from Spaced. She actually co-wrote Spaced with Simon Pegg. It is a fucking fantastic TV show. Please go watch it. It's really funny.
I'll put it on the list.
It's so good. I just went ahead and bought the whole series off Amazon. I think it's like $30, and it comes with a documentary about how it got made, commentary from Tarantino and David Cross and Patton Oswalt, and it's just such a great television show. But yeah, and I was kind of surprised. I've never read about this, but I'm wondering why she wasn't Liz in Shaun of the Dead, because it would make sense. You've got Nick Frost, you've got Simon Pegg, you've got Edgar Wright coming back to direct, and there's actually some characters from Spaced who make cameos in this, but I don't understand why they. Maybe it was just she didn't want to do it, or maybe her scheduling. But honestly, and I like Kate Ashfield as Liz. She's fine. But at the same time, I would love to have seen Jessica Stevenson play her, because I feel like the chemistry would have been just through the roof. It would have been so good.
See, but just even for that like comparison alone, like I do love that scene later where they each like sort of greet each other in the middle there, like in the backyards, and like I totally buy her as the female Simon Pegg. So yeah, like I dig it for that moment alone.
Absolutely, that's a good point. It might seem odd, them being in a relationship and her being, the adult one saying let's do this and let's do that is kind of, especially maybe after Spaced, just kind of throwing in a different dynamic with someone who might be a little bit more believable than not the female Simon Pegg. But yeah, they're just kind of catching up, and there's that ambulance pulling up in the background again, totally oblivious to what's going on, and they're just kind of catching up and talking about, I just bought a place, it's a bit grown up, exactly what I was just talking about, people buying houses and doing this, and just right behind them, there's just somebody just totally DOA in the car, just in the middle of the frame, like right between them. It's so great. But of course, this sparks Shaun to remembering, this sparks Shaun to remembering, like, fuck, I gotta go, gotta go make this reservation. And of course, the little place that does all the fish is totally booked up. And I love this with Ed, getting the messages, do you want your messages? Yeah. It's like, your mom rang about getting around tomorrow night. And then Liz rang about the two of you eating out tonight. And then your mom rang back to see if I wanted to eat her out tonight. Which is fucking fantastic. It's so great. But like I said, of course the place is booked up, and where does Shaun decide that they should go, Zoheb? Where does he tell Liz when she calls him?
The Winchester?
Oh, God. It's just so bad. Again, you fucking idiot. Like, why would you want to go? Like, she doesn't want to go there. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? But yeah, that's when we've got, Shaun, like racing over to Liz's house, and again, God, fuck David, just Jesus Christ, and
God, nuke him from orbit.
Right, and Shaun brings the flowers for his mom, and I love she doesn't want to see you, Shaun, and and again, this is going to come back. Do you want me to climb up? Because I will. And tries to get up, falls. And it's me again. But climbing up the side of that totally comes back again. But yeah, of course, I love that, that whole thing, I'm going out with David and Di. Well, I'll come too. Oh, you want to go out with my friends, a failed actress and a twat? I did not call Diane a failed actress. Like, I love that, because he's like, I didn't call Diane a failed actress, but he doesn't give a fuck about calling David a cunt. Like, I love that. I don't want to, what do you think? I want to go to the Winchester? Well, do you want to? No, I don't fucking want to. That's just so good. But yeah, it's just this has been a long time coming for these two, and it's no surprise, and especially with the flowers, it's like, oh my god, her seeing the flowers and they're from his mom, it's like, oh Jesus Christ, to a wonderful mom, and to his credit, he tries to play it off pretty well, the whole thing about you being my mom, blah blah blah, blah, and just totally fucks it up. But yeah, if I don't, oh, go ahead.
Did we go past? Basically, I'd say your 9 lives are up, Shaun. Fuck off, Four Eyes.
Yeah, I totally blew past it. I'm sorry. I love that.
He says Four Eyes as just after he takes off his glasses, so it's like even funnier.
Yeah, I love that. Why don't you go out there? You love us so much. And that's the first implication, that there's something going on with David.
What do you
and
mean
Liz.
by that? What?
Yeah. Oh my God. You promised you'd give up smoking. You promised you'd get us free cable. I'm still working on that. But yeah, I love when she sits down. She's like, I just feel like if I don't do something with my life, I'm going to be drinking myself to death in there every night, wondering what the hell happened. What do you mean do something? And that epic shot of just, the door closing on him and his jaw opening, that boom, boom, bow, bow. That music is so good, so man. Good, I love it. But yeah, we cut to him, the walk of shame, to the Winchester, just freshly dumped, and tosses the flowers for mom in the trash can after seeing that couple, which again, we'll come back again later. We if this were like an open browser tab, we'd have like 40 different tabs open for this fucking movie, because there's so much stuff that comes back
absolutely.
into it. But yeah, I love first line when he gets into the pub, "Fucker," from Nick Frost. There's actually, what's really crazy is the this really southern accent. The plot of the next day is actually kind of foreshadowed in this.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say that. Did you want to do it, or did you want me to do it?
Hey, by all means, I've got it written down here, but if you've got it, go right ahead.
Oh no, I had it too. I did actually, I actually never knew until I watched it with the commentary. So yeah, Nick prefigures the whole movie. He says, "Let's have a Bloody Mary," and Mary is later in the garden. She's at Liz's place, I think. No. She's in the garden. Yeah, right. Sorry, she's in the backyard. She's the one with the who gets absolutely fucked up. And then Nick says, "Let's grab a bite at the king's head." And that's Philip getting bitten at the mother's place.
Right.
Because he's the king. And then he says, "Grab a couple of little princesses."
Yeah, he's like, grab a couple and a princess or something. And
grab a couple. Yeah, grab a couple at the Little Princess. So the Little Princess is the name of the pub, and that's Liz's place. So she's the princess. Staggering back to the Winchester, staggering like zombies to the Winchester,
right?
And then back at the bar for a few shots with the gun. It's so clever, dude. I love the hell out of it.
Yeah, it's so great. And if you leave me now, the Chicago song comes on. I love an editor who in the hell put this on. Yeah, and it's all random. But yeah, absolutely. Like he's absolutely getting, just trying to console Shaun, but this is not the guy you want consoling you. This guy has no idea what the fuck he's talking about.
He's got like no emotional sort of like, he's got no emotional sort of boundary or anything like that at all.
Right, exactly. He has no like context to help him with. Which is, this guy's good for a laugh and stuff, but it's kind of hard to be serious with him, I'd say. But yeah, again, that whole foreshadowing is just the kind of stuff that this movie is so good with, and bringing everything back. And I love the Ed, come on, talk to me, man. She said if she sat around drinking herself to death, wondering what the hell happened. And I love, these are rich, interesting characters. Like who? He's trying to make it sound like these people are actually somewhat interesting. But they go through the whole cast of the bar: Snake Hips, the woman who did the first interracial porno, and
who, by the way, she was like completely in earshot. And Simon Pegg describes her as being like the nicest woman and like they had to they had to like absolutely destroy her like in the dialogue. Like he literally had to go up afterwards and say, "I'm so sorry."
Yeah, right. Oh my God, they're just so vulgar. But yeah, John and his wife, he says, in North London Mafia. I love that. And it's like, why do you think the boss called the Winchester? Because of the rifle over the bar. Exactly. It's so funny. Handy with a blade, and he's like cutting lemons. Yeah. But yeah, and that's when we kind of get that. We kind of get that first. Or what Ed kind of starts it. I love what he says. He's like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you cliches, and I'm not going to tell you this and that, but I can tell you this much: it's not the end of the world. And that hand just pops up, like, so good.
I love the emphasis on the bass, man. It's like boom, right on the fucking window. Hot Fuzz does that as well with its sound effects. It does. He really does so well with the technical aspects.
Yeah, especially with his sound. It's just so well done. It really, really is. So yeah, we've got them leaving the pub. I love that pull up on the sign, "Please leave quietly," and they're just like totally just smashed. Just them singing together. This was really infamous for a long time with this movie. Them singing this White Line song. About I think it's actually about cocaine in the 80s. White lines running through my mind.
Makes sense.
Right. And I love that couple behind them, that he saw before making out. That guy's head just slips off as they're walking away.
So good. What's wrong, love? Haven't you had your tea?
Yeah. But yeah, there's, oh my God, they're you can tell their chemistry. It just goes so well together here. These guys have done this a million times. Yeah. Just walking home, smash from the pub. But get higher, baby. Get higher, baby. And I love dibba 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 dibba.
They just look at each other.
He could sing bass, or freeze. What a tit.
Yeah, what's he say? He should say bass.
Yeah. We cut back to them, kind of DJing it up a little bit, and their dancing is so funny.
Yeah, in their fucking apartment. It's so good.
Yeah. Just a quick little side story. Actually, in high school, I took theater, and we had to do a scene, and I actually got to do this scene with a couple of guys, but obviously there's a lot of like F-bombs and stuff in it. So we changed all the fuck to like funk, which is actually like there's a special thing called Funky Pete, where they had like their which is Pete, their roommate. They had to have like an edited version, I guess, for television, and so they replaced fuck with funk, and it's it's 4:00 in the fucking morning, and it sounds like, oh my God, like the look on all the people's faces in our theater class when we started doing this was just like, oh my God, because it sounded with British accents, it sounds like you're saying fuck, like straight out. Yeah. So it was really funny. I got to play Ed, and a couple of my friends were in it, and we actually threw a record against the wall, and it smashed up against the wall, but then it thank God nobody noticed this. It stuck in the wall after the scene was the record just sliced into the wall, and we were like, oh shit. But yeah, this whole scene is just great. I love, as he's just, and just going crazy on that record. And Pete comes in and just throws that shit out the window. That's the second album I ever bought.
That's great.
But yeah, it's 4:00 in the fucking morning. It's Saturday. No, it's not. It's fucking Sunday. And I have to go to work in 4 fucking hours because every other fucking apartment is fucking ill. Now, can't you see why I'm so fucking angry?
This was Edgar Wright said on the commentary track, career best for you, Pete. Better than Darth Maul.
Yeah. But yeah, I love that, his whole rant, and then Ed, fuck yeah, and of course there's Shaun stepping in the middle of it again, and obviously, hey, we had a couple drinks to split up with Liz tonight, and right as he's walking out of the room, prank.
I love that he understands though, like he's understanding of it, and he's like, all right, just keep it down, yeah.
Yeah, right. He's trying to be cool, and then there's Ed fucking it up,
Yeah.
But I love that, and he's got, I hate to say it, Pete's got some valid points, he's not my friend, he's a fucking idiot, you want to go live like an animal, go live in a shed, which will totally come back at the end of the movie.
Oh, baby.
But I love that, stop defending him, Shaun, it's like all he ever does is hold you back, or is it easier having someone around that's more of a loser than you are? And, it's like, oh my God, that line is just like, holy shit, like fucking savage, like cutting Shaun right to the core. But he's right. I assume it's Liz who did the dumping, and he knows, he already knows, so this guy's not totally wrong. But this is this is the whole sort your fucking life out. We find out that Pete's been bitten. I don't know, some crackhead bit me. Why'd they do that? I don't know. I didn't stop to ask them. But yeah, I love that. It's now I've got a splitting headache, and your stupid hip hop isn't helping, and the front door's open again. But yeah, that whole, and again, especially when it cuts back to Ed, it's like, it's not electro, or it's not hip hop, it's electro. Next time I see him, he's dead. And he's totally, again, the next time he sees him, he's dead. He's a zombie. And I just, that's so great the way stuff plays back in, but you can tell on the look on Shaun's face when that conversation is over, and he's just like, sure. And goes to the board and just writes that stuff down, and I love he collapses in that chair and just time lapse, to him just still
shot,
in the chair.
Oh, I love this shot, man. It's just such great editing.
Yeah, absolutely. Any kind of time lapse shot like that, I'm like, God, that looks incredible. But yeah, just go around Mom's, get Liz back, sort life out, So you can tell Shaun's, he's trying. He wants to do the right thing, and he wants to fix his life up. But yeah, apparently this whole thing, the Cornetto thing, him going out for the Cornetto for the hangover, is something Edgar Wright did. Just thought that
when he was younger.
Yeah, Cornettos were great, hangover cures, I guess.
Do you guys have Cornettos?
No, we don't. We have obviously a lot of. We have a lot of different kind, but we don't have Cornettos.
Dude, Cornettos are the shit because they have it's just like ice cream, right? And it's just literally sauce through the middle, like chocolate sauce or something, and then at the bottom is it's just full of like just frozen chocolate at the bottom. So it's I think their slogan is no boring bits.
Yeah, we have stuff kind of like that. We have Nutty Buddies, which is kind of, or I guess that's not the right term. I don't know what they're called depending on what you get them, but they're just frozen cones like that with the waffle cone and the chocolate in the middle of it. They're great. I assume it's something pretty close, but yeah, I'm going to the shop. Do you want anything? Cornetto. Yeah,
Cornetto.
And it took me so long to understand what the fuck he was even saying. But
I love that it comes back through every episode, even in Hot Fuzz. You want anything from the shop? Cornetto.
Yeah, I love that. But yeah, we get this long tracking shot again. Again, something coming back, playing into play again. And we see a lot of the same, we see this homeless guy. We see, the guy washing, it looks like the guy washing his car is just run. It's just been abandoned. And then we've got, the jogger just blasting right past him. It's so good.
So what's good about, I love Simon Pegg, man, because in the commentary track he knows all of these people by name, by first and last name. It must have been just such a good working environment, such a good set for him to know everybody by name like that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no disconnect there. This is just doing something with your friends, and I would have a blast. That would be so much fun. But again, just the obliviousness to everything, in this time, not just the humdrum of everyday life, being hungover from that, and the bloody handprints on the thing as he opens up the drink display, and then the blood, he slips in the blood as he makes his way to the counter.
Oh my god.
But apparently there's one of these radios when he walks by. I think it's in Hindi, but
yes.
Somebody translated it, but it's the dead are rising from their graves, and
correct. Yeah.
I think that's so great. And just, you about 15p, and just sets the money down and walks off, knows this guy so well. He's like, I'll be back in here, blah, blah, blah.
Fucking weird British people and their money.
Yeah,
I'm looking at you, fucking Craig.
Right, pounds. Watching Little Britain, we had to figure out what, even their weights, 15 stone. I'm like, what does that mean?
What the fuck? Stone and shit? Do you go outside, get some pebbles and shit and measure people's weights in that?
Yeah, right. It's so weird. But I love, just the whole, walks right past the homeless guy. He's like, I don't have any change. I fucking didn't even have enough for the shop.
For the shop.
But yeah, and just again, one whole continuous take is so fantastic.
But I love that it's like this is society. You did not even notice that a normal day yesterday is the apocalypse today because society is literally the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love when he comes home and he's flipping through the TV channels. Did you notice?
Oh, oh my God, I did. His name is Krishnan Guru Murthy. This is the guy that we've talked about a couple times now. He's the one that pissed off Robert Downey Jr. for speaking about his dad and all that, and who Quentin Tarantino said, "I'm shutting your butt down."
Right.
This guy's just a shitty journalist from everything that I've seen, but like Simon Pegg on the commentary track, he was just like, yeah, he was very willing and professional. And I'm just like, fast forward like a few years, and he's just like, oh, there's all these YouTube videos of him being like an absolute dick to these like celebrities because he's trying to get a rise out of them for his reporting purposes.
Right, exactly. Just trying to bump up syndication and stuff. But yeah, I just love that. Just the cutting through the montage. There's an increasing number of reports of people who are literally being serious attacks on people who are literally being eaten alive. It's so great. Panic on the streets of London. It's so, and just the reflection of Simon Pegg in the TV in the bottom left corner as he's watching it is so great. I think it's so. It's just such a little thing that you kind of miss it the first time you see it. But that's where you get Ed. There's a girl in the garden, and he's like 5 feet away from him in the curtains of the window. I think that's so great. Just again, just that slight like just pan over 2 feet and boom, there's something right there. So fucking funny. But yeah, there's a girl in the garden. It winds up being the woman that we saw from our montage right at the beginning, Mary. She also pops up in World's End. She's in the meeting with Simon Pegg at the very beginning where he's talking about the Golden Mile. She's sitting like right next to him.
Cool.
But yeah, I love that. They're trying to get her attention, and he just pops her with that rock, and they turn around and just totally, oh, she's so drunk. And as they're charging, as they're charging him, I love Ed. He's like, "Oh, fancy a kiss?" He's oh, you want to cuddle?
Oh, that's so good.
But I love as she tackles him. No, I've just come out of a serious relationship.
Yeah, Edgar Wright said, most horror movies take place at night, and he wanted to do more of like a Sunday morning hangover sort of feel in this sequence, and that's totally what it feels like, right? Like the way, like even the camera it's like kind of shaky and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just fits so well.
Yeah, it feels very just kind of like trudgy, kind of like, you've got like the horse blinders on, you're just kind of in a daze. And I love she tackles him and he's like, "Ed, help, 2 seconds." 2 seconds. I've said that so many times now, as my go-to, like 2 seconds. He comes back with that camera and pops the picture and, Simon Pegg just kind of throws her off. "What's wrong with her eyes, man? Look at her eyes." And, that's I'm serious, Mary. I'm going to use force. Okay, here it comes. And he shoves her in that scene. Oh my God. Fuck off. And he shoves her, and she just lands on that. It looks like the base of like a volleyball thing. I don't know what it is, but God, just her slowly like peeling herself off that is gruesome. It's like, oh my God, this is a comedy movie. It's nuts to see that in what most people would. This really got me the first time I saw it. I was like, okay, this is different. This is going to be a very different kind of movie. And when it cuts back to them, and I love this fucking Ed is like winding the camera back up. Just
like Simon's just like slaps it out of his hand.
It's so good. But of course, right when they turn away, that huge guy comes up on him.
This guy scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, right. Oh my God, he looks so much more terrifying than her. Yeah. But he's inside trying to call cops. What about an ambulance? A fire engine. It's one number, Ed, and it's busy.
something with sirens and flashing lights.
Right. But yeah, are they still out there? And he just goes to the window and looks and comes right back. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, I love that. It's just literally like you see him walk over to the window, open the fucking curtains, and then seeing them just like clawing away at the glass, and then see him walk back, take a breath. Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, have a sit down. They sit down and start talking about, the roads are shut down. Do not try to, don't try to leave your homes or contact loved ones. If you know anybody that's been bitten, blah, 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 make sure your doors are secured. And in that shot, we see the guy coming through their front door,
See, it's funny you say that because Edgar Wright says, I think it's in the German version, their aspect ratios are a bit different. So essentially, those people in Germany or some shit like that, it's cut off for them, so they wouldn't even see that happening. It's just like, oh, there's a guy that just rocked up in the fucking middle of the room.
Yeah, which is the guy who's in that long
shot.
Yeah, that long shot. He's the one behind him when he's buying the Coke. But I love. Oh, he's got an arm off. I love I love that. And Ed just smashes his head in with the ashtray, and Shaun locks the door. He comes back. You see his head go. It's like, oh my god, that's so fucking brutal. and Ed seems, he's just a little too fixated on the fact that he just crushed this guy's head in. But it feels really realistic. It's like, it feels very like, you hear so many people now, especially in America, like, what would I do if a zombie outbreak happened and this and that. But it's like, really, it's kind of like when people talk about, oh, if I got into a fight, this is what I would do. It's like, you don't really know until you're in that situation, and I think these guys show that really well. Just like, I don't, we're just throwing everything at the wall, literally, and seeing what sticks. But I love that. As long as we're inside and they're out here, we're safe. And they immediately bust through the window on them.
It's so good.
Yeah,
it reminds me of like B horror movie kind of stuff.
Do what?
It reminds me of like B horror movie kind of stuff. Like not even like just like a low budget like horror movie sort of thing. Like a trope.
Absolutely. And of course, we get to that, attackers can be destroyed by removing the head or destroying the brain. And we get probably one of the most infamous scenes, if not the most infamous scene from this movie. This is just in terms of comedy, just a film, zombie film, everything. It's such a good scene with him, with them just literally throwing everything, toasters and waste baskets and plates.
Okay, so here's the thing as well. As hilarious as it is, isn't that what you would do in this situation? Like, I find that so fucking relatable. Okay, because we don't have guns. I don't know where the fuck to find a gun. I'd probably, get a knife or some shit. But, I would probably get a basket and fill it with, sharp things and, heavy things to throw at, and literally do the same.
See, I feel like now, because I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty Zombies, because now it's like I would probably have to get a bat or something. I've gotten way too into zombies before and read the zombie survival guide and what weapons would be best and all this type of stuff. So I think I would probably go out there with just some kind of blunt weapon, because I don't have a gun. I mean, I could walk across the street and get a gun, but it's it would I wouldn't trust myself with a gun. I'm a terrible shot. But yeah, I love that. He just picks up the record and chucks it at that guy and puts it right in his face. And then hard cut to them with the record, with the record collection opened, and I love that immediately he just picks up that one record and throws it. And he's like, "Which one was that?" And, I can't remember what record he says it is. He's like, "Oh, there's a limited press." He's like, "For fuck's sake!" But
Batman
yeah,
soundtrack? No.
Yeah, it's so good. Dire Straits. I can't believe he throws Dire Straits. I'm like, dude, Dire Straits is a great band. But, and that's when, oh, that's Liz's record. Yeah, but she did dump you, and then when he throws it, he's just like, fuck it, I'm going to the shed, and crashes the door down. And
apparently he loved jumping through the shed.
Oh, yeah, I would too, man. That looks like it'd be, because he just bounces right back up. It seems like it'd be so much fun, but yeah, I love this, just them smashing the head of because at first they're offbeat and then they kind of get in sync with each other. And just that hard cut to them on the couch, and Shaun's just holding the mug, just horrified, and Ed's licking the Cornetto, and you've got red on you. That again, there's that line. But yeah, this is where they talk about, if you know someone who's been bitten, you need to isolate them immediately, and that's when they start thinking of Pete. And they get, again, another hard cut. Pete.
Pete.
Yeah, I love
just
that.
The way he calls it, Pete.
Yeah, he's so sounds like a little kid, like, Mom. I love. He's like, why don't we just go up there? I love the sound Simon Pegg. The sound he makes is so good. But basically, you know, they're like his keys are here. He didn't go to work, and I love Ed's way of figuring it out. Oi, prick! You know, and that he's like, he's not here.
No, he's not here.
But yeah, I love that. It's, just this whole shot, especially just like at the top of the stairs coming down on them, is so good. And of course, him asking him for a cigarette is what makes him realize he's like, oh my God, I haven't even tried to call Liz yet. And that's, you know, oh God, she's engaged. That was quick. Hey, this is serious. Yeah, I love that. And of course, you know, right when he's calling Liz, Mom calls, and you know, that's where, you know, Mom, have you been bitten? No, but Philip has. Oh, okay. You know, he's got no problem.
He does not give two shits.
Dude,
he's like, oh, okay.
No.
And then Nick Frost does the same thing like a second later. He's like, no, but Philip has. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's, oh, okay, good. And that's when that great line, you know, I don't want to be a fuss. We're coming to get you, Barbara. Which, you know, straight out of Night of the Living Dead. But yeah, this is another one of, I mean, again, cutting to one of the most iconic scenes in the movie is them trying to formulate this plan, which actually, what's really funny, you know, this whole fried gold thing, that's actually Nick Frost's Instagram name. Like his handle is fried gold, which is really funny. If you ever get the chance, follow him on Instagram. He posts some really funny stuff. But I love these montages. You know, take Pete's car, drive over to Mom's, you know, blah, 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 kill Philip, you know, get Liz, come back here, have a cup of tea, and wait for all this to blow
Super
over.
Edgar Wright.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's and it's very, like, it reminds me of, like, Requiem for a Dream in a way. Like, if you've ever seen that, the way they do drugs. And that
like
movie
very
is
hallucinogenic.
Yeah, and the audio, you know, just the drawers being opened up and you know, just mundane things like the car handle being opened up, the way Edgar Wright does that. But I love, you know, why do we have to go to Liz's? Because we do. Why? Because I love her. All right, gay.
That comes back later.
Yeah. But they totally, again, go through the ring, go to Pete's car, take Pete's car, go to Mom's, go in, kill Philip, take Mom, go over to Liz's and wait for all this to blow over. You know, again, he runs into it, and he's like, I love it. Immediately, Simon Pegg is like, no, you know, we can't bring him. Oh, no, they're not going to Liz's, they're going to Shaun's. He's like, we can't bring him back here. You know, he's like, we need somewhere safe. We need somewhere familiar. Where can I smoke? You know, it's like Nick Frost's main thing is where he can smoke a cigarette. And I love the last time they go into this montage, you know, it's quicker every time. And sorry, and they just hit him in the head real quick. Nick Frost is sniffing the shovel. Did you notice that? He's like sniffing. Oh my God, dude. It's such a minor detail, but he's like sniffing like the end of the shovel. But yeah, that's when this whole plan comes in that, you know, we'll take Pete's car, go to Mom's, kill Philip, pick up Liz, go to the Winchester, have a cold pint, and wait for all this to blow over. And I love, like, the narration behind it. It's so well done. How's that for a slice of fried gold? Yeah, I love boy.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because that comes back in Hot Fuzz, and Nick Frost. There's a character named Roy.
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, Roy.
I know, man. It's so good. But yeah, and that scene ends with, you know, do not leave your houses, blah, blah. You believe everything you hear on TV. And that's such a good way to end the scene. But I love as he's looking at the mailbox, you know, are there any zombies out there? Don't say that. He's like, what? The Z word. Why? Because it's ridiculous. You know, and I love, because same thing with Walking Dead and Night of the Living Dead.
I was about to say that, yeah.
They don't even say that they're really zombies, but that shot on Simon Pegg as he's looking through the mail slot, and he's like, oh, I don't see a lot of them. Maybe it's not as bad as all that. Oh, no, wait, there they are. And he just looks over, and they're right there.
Yeah, they're right there.
Again, that whole thing of just look 2 feet to the right or left, and there's something right there. It comes up a lot in this movie. It's so great. And, they're about to leave, you know, and Simon Pegg, I got to do a wee first. And it just gives Ed the keys. Like, oh my God, it's such a bad idea. You can tell as soon as Ed gets the keys, that childlike mischief just like comes over his face. Like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna fuck this shit up. But again, we have that same shot. You know, Shaun uses the restroom and closes the mirror, and boom, there's Pete behind him in the shower, which is totally a throwback to the scene that we've seen earlier.
Dude, I love the makeup here, man. How good is the makeup?
Yeah, and it looks like half his body has just been in the sun. Like he's been sitting there in front of that window for so long, and I was like, oh my God. But yeah, I love that. He's trying to like reason with them the whole time. Oh, we're gonna take your car and we're gonna go to the pub. So if you want to come out for a bit later, it's like,
Yeah, I
dude,
know.
get the fuck out of there.
I know.
But yeah, Pete'd be so pissed if he knew I was driving his car. I don't think he would, and they just run out. But yeah, I love that whole scene of them trying to get into the car. There's the kid with the soccer ball. But as they're closing in, I just love drive, and he just drives off. It's one of the few moments in the movie that really feels like, oh man, like when they start kind of circling in on him, and it starts right here is where I feel like the stakes start kind of going up a little bit more because
For sure. And this is where it kind of stops feel a bit like an indie movie. Like
Right.
it feels a lot more theatrical, a lot bigger.
Right, absolutely. And with the sound design, with all of them closing in on him, and especially a horror movie trope, getting into the car, and either the car won't start or this or that. But I love that it's just Ed fucking with like the blinkers and the wipers and stuff. But yeah, they get in Pete's car. They're driving off to go to Shaun's mom's house, and we see like just the carnage. There's that ambulance wrecked on the side of the road with the body and the body bag kicking around. I was like, holy shit, that's terrifying. But of course, Ed, who gives a fuck, slams the music in there and immediately runs some fucking guy over. Like as soon as he puts the tape in, runs some guy over. And we hit something or someone, and he honks the horn and he slams his head into the window.
Yeah.
But this whole scene. So again, we have the frame on the zombie, but the car backing into the frame. This is coming up so many times. Things being pulled into the frame. It's so comedic and it's so Edgar Wright. But yeah, hello, like he's talking to the guy on the ground. He's obviously dead.
This guy was an actual amputee, apparently.
Oh no way, for real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Simon Pegg joked on the commentary that he wasn't really into yoga.
Oh my god. But I love, as soon as he'll be dead either way. That's not the point, Ed. And he pulls himself off the pavement and he gives him that. He's one of the scarier looking zombies to me in the whole movie.
He looks great.
Oh my god. But I love Simon Pegg's reaction. Oh, thank God for that. And they slam the tape back in and take off. It's just, again, the editing. We're moving through this thing real quickly now. This is a tight movie. We're talking about like 99 minutes. It's like this is a really tight movie. And especially you can see how they really use that $4 billion budget. But yeah, we pull up and obviously there's Ed eye fucking the shit out of that Jaguar.
Baby, he's loving that Jaguar.
Oh yeah, and of course you again that childlike mischief. You can see him. Why don't I stay with the car? And comes I'll honk 3 times if there's a problem and blah blah blah. So yeah, we're introduced to Shaun's mom and Philip. Shaun's mom, just God, that actress seems so sweet. She's I think that's
nice.
It's what really takes the guts out of you later on. You're like when she bites the dust, it's like, dude, she's so sweet.
British. She's so British, man. All she like cares about is the tea and the sandwiches. I'll make you some sandwiches.
Yeah, right. But I love that, he's saying, oh, we're waiting for the doctor. I don't think the doctor's going to come. Go put the kettle on and I'll deal with Philip. And I love as he's walking in there, play nice, you two. And he's like, oh God, like the look on his face. But yeah, I love as he's pulling up on Philip. I'm sorry, Philip, for what? And he drops the cricket bat. What do you got there? Flowers, I hope. No, it's a cricket bat. But yeah, and Bill Nighy, just such a great performer. He's so good. And again, he pops up in Hot Fuzz, and he's also the voice of the network. And
you're making us all look bad.
Yeah, yes, I can. I'm the chief inspector.
Yeah.
Like,
yes,
that's probably my favorite line of his through the whole movie. But yeah, they're getting into an argument about like what to do, and just the little scares, like when Mom pops in, it kind of makes you jump, just the audio and stuff. And this scene is already kind of tense. But basically, he's trying to get rid of Philip, trying to get his mom out of there. And I love the dialogue here. Maybe you should stay here and wait for the doctor. But you said the doctor wasn't coming, and I'm fine. I ran it under a cold tap, and he's just trying to play all this stuff off like it's a bunch of, what do you say, like drug nuts and wackos just running around. But I love
pretty
the way
much exactly what my mom would say, to be honest.
Oh yeah. I love the way that Shaun ends this though. The Mom, how about that tea? It's that's so great. This is one of my personal favorite scenes of the whole thing. Do you want sugar in your tea? I haven't had sugar in my tea since 1992. But this whole thing about how much do you love Philip, and they've obviously had this conversation before. Shaun is not a fan of Philip. Philip is his stepdad, but has raised Shaun from a young age, I think like 12 or 13. So they've definitely had their problems before. But especially with what he's talking about, he chased me around the garden with a bit of wood, because you called him a you-know-what. Oh, did he tell you that? Yes, he did, motherfucker.
Yeah, I love how we find out exactly what it was that he said.
Yeah.
Immediately.
And she's like, Shaun, I'm sorry, Mother. Mom, the play on words is really great in this movie. But I love, immediately he's like, I don't think that you know that on several occasions Philip touched me.
Yeah, she turns around. No, he didn't. I don't know why I said that.
Yeah, he's like, not true, actually. I'm sorry, I made it up. But again, this is such a, a really good argument from her mom. No, it's you who don't understand. Philip has been my husband for the last 17 years. And I know you haven't always seen eye to eye, but I would at least expect you to respect my feelings. And that's so true. Especially when you've got like a parent who's remarried, like my mom has remarried, and there's nothing wrong with that. Her husband's a really, really nice guy. And I like him, I like him a lot, but it can get some getting used to. It feels very weird having this other guy come in, especially I feel like, especially for Shaun being younger, and also especially, just kind of linking it to myself for, I was like 26 when my mom got remarried, so it feels kind of weird, somebody else, especially when your parents are together for as long as my parents were together. But I can relate to this of being a little distrusting of this guy. But dude, he's been in the picture for 17 years, like what she says, you have got to be more adult about this stuff. And this is a recurring theme, you've got to become more of an adult. You've got to grow up. And that great shot of Philip coming in, he's like, yeah, sometimes you just got to be a man. And that light reflecting on the knife is so good. But yeah, so we've got them leaving, going out to the car, and just that great, I love, hello, Edward. Hello, Barbara. How you've grown. Oh, you better believe it. It's so many good lines,
the
man.
mum jokes. I love it.
And when he's like, so where's the car? And it just, again, Ed's just standing in front of it. And when he pulls back, it's like smashed into a fucking telephone pole. He goes, we were parked.
That might be my favorite fucking thing about this movie, man. But you were parked. Oh, I liked it.
But of course, right when he turns around, Philip, and Philip gets bit right in the neck, which is alluding to, bite of the king's head, like we were talking about earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Part of the reason why the only weapon that we've seen used in this movie is the cricket bat, and even later on when everybody gets weapons, it's the only thing that's padded. So apparently, it was the only weapon that they could actually use.
Well, I was just saying because it's British as shit.
Yeah, right. Very British. But yeah, I love the whole scene of him arguing, and Philip, especially like, don't worry about me, take care of your mom, get her in the car, but it really speaks well about Shaun, who's like, no, I'm not leaving, even though Shaun, maybe on the surface wants to just leave Philip there, but he knows at this point, he needs to get him out of there. And
for his mom.
Right, for his mom. And of course, and I love I don't know what song it is it's playing as they pull off, but it's a really, really good song, just kind of like some alt rock. I'm sure it's some kind of band. Edgar Wright is really big on his music and using certain bands and stuff. But yeah, this whole scene of him driving is great, and just dodging the cars barely the whole time, and slamming on the brakes when they show up to Liz's. That's so funny. And I love as Shaun gets out of the car, he's like, all right, listen, if there's any trouble, yeah, I'll do the honks. Like the plan that Ed came up with is now the thing that he's called. Yeah, whatever, dude. But I think that's so funny. And again, we're cutting back to the scene of Shaun when he tries to climb up the drainage of the building. And he actually, I think this is speaking kind of to the character of now, the first time he couldn't do it, couldn't even climb up the thing. And now, here he is just climbing up it like no problem.
He's got the willpower.
Right, exactly. His Broomhilda is in a tower, and he's trying to get to her.
Good callback to the last episode.
Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, I love the whole thing. It was like, we were perfectly fine before you showed up. How many are out there now? Lots. There's loads. But yeah, I would have grabbed David and thrown him out the fucking window. This guy is useless. He's dead weight. Like, oh my god.
I would have bludgeoned him with the cricket bat. I literally would have just gotten the other hand, the other handle, the handle part of it, and just would have just impaled him with it somehow.
Yeah, just totally go Negan on him with that cricket bat would be so awesome.
You know what? I haven't seen Walking Dead, but I totally get what you're talking about, and what sequence you're talking about.
No, I was just saying I've never seen Walking Dead either, but I definitely know about Lucille and that bat.
Oh me too.
But yeah, it's super crazy to especially with with Shaun coming up there, somehow he convinces these people to leave, which is incredible, and I love that, Diane is the first one, she's like, we're with you, Shaun. What? We're with you?
She's not too sure.
Yeah, but I love. Who's it? Lucy Davis, who's playing Diane, and we've got Kate Ashworth as Liz, and Dylan Moran as David. But does anyone have transport? I do. Where? Oh no. Well, I've just passed my test. She's she just now got her license, and of course, David. I don't see the point of owning a car in London.
Fuck off.
Yeah, fuck you. But I love that. Keep together, stay sharp, bash him over the head. That seems to work really well. I love that. So what's the plan then? We're going to the Winchester. That's just that zoom in on him in the frame of the door, and it cuts back to them, and it's zooming in on them as well. Such a good shot. But it seems like this is what Shaun is born to do, man. When he comes out of that place, he's swinging and confident and knocking these motherfuckers down. And I think that's so cool, the way he's just take charge and confident. This seems like something he's done his whole life. When he walks out of that place, he is he's just kicking ass and taking names. But yeah, I love and Ed pulls up, pulls up in the car and gets everybody, and cramming all of them into that tiny Jaguar, and there's 3 people up front and 4 in the back. But the whole time, I love Ed is just purposefully slamming into people on the road as he's driving by them. And it just, I wonder, God, how in the world do they do that? Is it digital effects? How are they doing this? Because he's really knocking some people down in that car, man.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think it's going to be a mixture, man. I've got no fucking idea. I was thinking that as well, actually.
Yeah, it looks really good. It looks insanely good. But yeah, there's talking about we're going to the Winchester. It's safe. It's secure. And there's a rifle above the bar. I'm sure that's been deactivated. No, Big Al says it's not. Big Al also says dogs can't look up.
Deactivated. Wait, just even the terminology he uses, about the gun, deactivated. How do you deactivate a gun?
Right,
it's deactivate a gun.
I'm sure there's some way, how they put them in museums and stuff, they're non-firing. I'm sure you can take something out of the gun.
Yeah, they must have just taken the firing pin out or something like that. But deactivated, that's what you use, when you're talking about electronics or something like that.
Right, yeah. It's something like that. It's not what you say when you're speaking about a gun, but this really, really, really beautiful scene between Philip and Shaun, and he's just going on about how, I just, you were so young when I found you, and I thought that maybe, you just needed someone to look up to, and I thought that maybe that person could be me, and it's just oh man, it's a really touching scene. Especially with just them in the back seat. And I love, would you just take care of your mom? That, and it's still Philip just wants Barbara to be okay. That's, That's so great. And the last, is Bill Nye, there's a good boy, and he just slips out. He's just gone like
It's
that.
so good. Fuck, I love Bill Nye.
It's so good, and I love, this is the first time we really see Shaun fly into Ed, and this does happen a few times. And Ed, again, just totally oblivious, not giving a fuck, running people over, and, just pull over, and he's screaming at him, and, stop telling me to chill out. Not everybody is fine, and it's Philip. He's gone. Where's he gone to? Mom, he's dead. No, he's not. He's right there. And he's totally changed.
Yeah.
That's
it's
so
a good
great.
transition.
Yeah, absolutely. But I love as they're all trying to get out of the car. What the fuck is Ed doing? He's just like standing there staring at them as they're fighting to get out of this car, and it's like
I
guess
was
the
thinking that
child locks.
too. I'm like, what the fuck? Because Liz like walks over and to the other side and like looks at him and is like, what the fuck are you doing, Ed?
Right. I could have seen it if he like pulled the phone out and started messing with the phone. Like, hold on 2 seconds, but he just literally stands there, I feel like. And of course, Barbara kicks the radio back on as she's trying to get out. But I love that whole thing. We're just have to go on foot. I know a shortcut. We'll go through here. And I love that dialogue with his mom. But we mustn't leave Philip. Your dad's in there. And he's like, Mom, he's not my dad. Oh, Shaun, no, Mom, he was, but he's not anymore. That's not even your husband in there anymore.
Oh, that's so good.
That's a good way to set that scene up. And he's like, there's nothing about the man in there that you love anymore. And he just turns the radio off. But I think that's so great. And immediately Shaun's like, as soon as he turns the radio off, Shaun immediately, let's go, shall we? It's just immediately back to like it's no big deal.
Just straight back to it.
Yeah, but as we're cutting through these backyards, this is where we meet the doppelganger group, which actually has some really famous faces in it.
Fucking probably the biggest name in this movie, probably besides Simon Pegg. Fucking Martin Freeman, dude. The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Fucking Watson. Like this guy's massive now. He's in the fucking MCU, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, right. And I love that he's actually in all three of these films. Yeah. He's in Hot Fuzz. He's in World's End.
Yeah. And even the guy, the only other person I recognize is the guy at the back. He's from Little Britain.
Yeah, that's Matt Lucas.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
He was also in Bridesmaids.
Do what?
He was also in Bridesmaids, which is pretty fucking funny.
I haven't seen that. But I love, of course, the woman at the front is Yvonne, who's Jessica Stevenson, who's in Spaced. And also the woman that's the doppelganger of Shaun's mom is their landlord in Spaced. So there's,
right.
Yeah, I thought that was just really great. And of course, as they all pass, they're all...
Hi, hello.
Yeah.
All right.
This part always gets me because it's like, had they teamed up, like all of them probably would have survived. That's kind of crazy to think about. But like you said, she is like the female Simon Pegg, and she's almost like his Bizarro, like his opposite, as in terms of like she actually has a good plan and can make it through this thing.
Yeah.
Do you know where you're going? We're going to the Winchester. She's like, the pub, and there's
she's like,
silent.
What the fuck?
Yeah, right. But I love Jessica Stevenson. I just wish she would have been in this movie a little bit more. She's fantastic in Space. She's really funny. But yeah, just that shot of them all kind of passing each other is so great. I freaked this time watching it because I've recently been watching a lot of Little Britain, and seeing Matt Lucas in it was great. And apparently also David Williams, who's his co-partner in Little Britain, has a few voiceover cameos in this. He's on the radio a couple of times. There's a lot of voiceover stuff. Edgar Wright's does a lot of voiceover stuff in it.
Those British, they love to stick together, don't they?
Yeah, right. And this, again, one of the most iconic scenes from the movie, oh yeah, the shortcut's just right here. Like, what, over the 20 garden fences? What's the matter, David? You've never taken a shortcut? This is a
Cornetto trilogy thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love in this one, he just the whole thing falls over.
He just fucks it up.
Yeah, it's so great. But as they're cutting through these backyards, his mom, and unfortunately, this is going to come into play later. This is when his mom gets bitten, which...
Shaun, I'm sure Jill and Derek are live around here.
Yeah, right.
Just in our own world.
Right, and I love later when they're doing the zombie faces, and she's like, "Oh, Popper, that's excellent." She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, dear, it's miles away."
Yeah. Oh, dude, I fucking love that, man.
That's so great, man, and her facial acting and just she goes from like midnight to sunshine like that. She's just right there. But they all get over there and start talking. He's like, "All right, I'm going to climb up this ladder and take a look," and realizes that mom's not there, and he jumps on the kiddie trampoline.
I love that jump. That fucking superhero jump.
It's so good. But yeah, this is when he starts fighting with the pajama zombie, as they call him. And they give him that tetherball spear. He's like, "Oh no, that's rubbish." They're like, like stab him with it.
Hits him with the fucking tennis ball.
Yeah, right. I did read that actually Simon Pegg does the vocal work for this zombie. He does the ADR actually.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So just totally just 300s that guy, just spears him, into the tree, which is great. But that's where they get the idea to kind of do their little zombie walk to the Winchester, and that's where Diane's kind of
this is where Harry fucking Potter pisses me off. Like when they do the reenactment. He fucking pisses me off so much in this scene.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's like, ugh. It's sorrowful, dreadful, and you hate it. Go, ugh.
Just fucking kill me.
Yeah, right. I love when they cut to Shaun and Ed, and he's like, "What is that? What you got?" He's like, "Well, who died and made you fucking king of the zombies?"
Yeah. And then Shaun does his impression, and he's like, "Actually, that was pretty good."
Yeah, and then that little smile he has afterwards, and it is a good impression. It's a great impression of a zombie.
Yeah.
But I love kind of before that a little bit. He walks up the ladder, and he's like, "I'm just gonna go see what's over there." And again, he just steps out of frame, and we see the feet. That's so funny, and he comes right back down, and he's like, "Is the coast clear?" "No." "How many are them?" Lots. But yeah, that place is absolutely fucking surrounded. But yeah, this is actually where we get the scene of them kind of, all right, everyone shake out, limber up, and everyone just standing completely still. She's like, okay, like trying to teach them how to be zombies and stuff. This woman is actually in, she's in Wonder Woman, Lucy Davies, I think, or Davis or Davies.
I remember that now.
Yeah, when she popped up, I was like, oh shit, man. It's like, she's great. She's in Shaun of the Dead. But
I was like, where the fuck is she from? And then I was like, yes, Wonder Woman, that's right.
Right. It surprised the hell out of me to see her there. But yeah, I love that. All right, so everyone ready on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, and then just all of them just and a hard cut to them walking through the crowd. Like the editing, man, the fucking editing is so good. And it's a crime that whoever edited this film, it just didn't win an award for it. I think it's great. I think his editors actually won an award for Baby Driver, or it might have been his sound design team. I'm not 100% sure, but I know they won an award. It might have been an Academy Award. I'm not 100% sure, but I know they won some kind of award that was really big for Simon Pegg Edgar Wright was really, really happy about it.
I think he missed out on editing. So editing went to Lee Smith this year for Dunkirk, but he was definitely nominated.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, of course, you're the human encyclopedia of award shows over here.
Dude, I just if it's got to do with anything Nolan, then yeah, I'm all over that. And plus, Lee Smith was all over the news here when he won the Oscar.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. I was wondering who kind of won that, so I'm glad to hear it went to Dunkirk, because I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure it's a really well done movie. Like you said, anything Nolan, But yeah, this is where we cut to them, kind of just shambling their way through the crowd, and they get to the door, and there's Simon. Of course, as soon as
did you happen to catch Barbara? She's just totally normal. She's not even just doing like a zombie face. She's just totally frightened and just looking around.
Yeah, she's just like, "Ugh," just like making weird ass noises. But yeah, this is where we get Shaun coming up to the envelope slot, like, hey guys, are you there? It's Shaun and Ed. We come in and do the quiz, which is apparently where they met Chris Martin. Chris Martin would come in and do this quiz, and they're close friends now, I guess. Which is really cool because I'm a big Coldplay fan. I'm a big fan of these movies, so it's kind of cool that that they're friends in real life. But this fucking guy, David, just immediately. Well, sorry, hold on. I don't want to skip past that. Ed on the phone, with that same go with Noel from earlier, like trying to get weed in the middle of this. It's like, dude, there are way more pressing issues right now than trying to find some weed.
What the fuck does that even mean? It's a bit mentalist, isn't it? What?
Yeah, right?
He's like, yeah, it's a bit mentalist. What? Like Simon Baker, as in the show, Mentalist?
Yeah, right. But yeah, I love that, the interaction between them. He smacks the phone out of his hand, and you always fuck things up and make me look stupid, but not today, and immediately there's Liz, like, Shaun, and turns around and they're all just staring at them. It's like, oh my God, what a pants shitting moment, just looking up and seeing all of them looking right at you. And of course there's dickhead David picking up the trash can and just throwing it through that window, and absolutely blowing a hole. Like anybody who's played zombies before on Call of Duty, and somebody goes and opens up a door or something that you don't want opened up, you're like, God damn it! Like you ruin the whole
just
strategy.
Another fucking area to let them through. Yeah, I totally get it, dude.
Right. But I love Shaun, he gets up on that thing and starts kind of cattling them all together. He's like, oh, bollocks. And just him realizing, oh shit, like, oh my God, this is such a bad idea. But yeah, Shaun just basically beelines out of there and just kind of leads them all off, which is again, this is like something. It's like he's been prepared for this his whole life. Which, a little interesting side note, actually, this whole movie is based off of an episode of Spaced. Where
really?
Simon Pegg's character, his character in Spaced is Tim, but he basically stays up all night playing Resident Evil 2 and doing a bunch of cheap speed. And he's been up. He basically stays up for like 2 or 3 days, and by the end of the episode, he's like hallucinating that people are zombies, and he's like knocking people out, and like, so they thought it would be a really, really cool idea to just, as soon as they filmed the episode, Edgar Wright was like, what if we did a movie about this? And that's where it came from, So it's like something that was 5 years in the making.
That's cool.
But yeah, so the whole crew minus Shaun wind up making it into the Winchester, and there's just this real long kind of boring shots. At first, just everybody standing around, just sitting there, and of course there's David. God, I fucking hate David.
He's just trying to consolidate power.
Right? Yeah. And he's talking about how he's like, oh, that front window, we're totally exposed, and it's like, yeah, thank you. You're the one who fucking threw it in there.
You fucking cunt.
Yeah, he's such an idiot, and trying to turn the power on, and I love this line, we don't want to expose ourselves any more than we have, and that line will totally cut, and he says that back to Shaun later, which is so funny. But yeah, what an asshole, man. I mean, literally, like, ripping Shaun apart in front of his own mom. And it's like, and this woman's not going to say anything back to you. She doesn't even know who you are. She's so polite, like no one's going to say anything back to you, or back talk against this. And of course, Barbara's over there, messing with her wound that we don't really even know about until this point, unless you've seen the movie before. But God, I mean, he'll be back soon. How do you know that? Just blowing holes through Shaun. This is a man whose idea of a romantic night spot and an impenetrable fortress are the same thing. This is a pub. We are in a pub. It's just he's just a total asshole. But I love Ed's response. What are we going to do? Get around in? Just basically let's have some drinks. But yeah, just I love this whole breakdown that David's having. Saved by nibbles. Oh, there's a toasty out back. Who do you Breville? And just that whole thing pops up again.
Dude, Breville? Oh, I fucking love Breville's.
I don't know what that is. I've never had that.
Oh, it's just like a sandwich press.
Oh, okay, cool. I get you now. But I love Liz, she's like, I don't know any more juju, but what I do know is that we have to make the best of it, and she just snaps on him. She's so good. And Ed, get me a double vodka,
That's so good, man.
Yeah, that's so, and of course David breaks down again. Fuck it, yeah, we'll have a party. We'll all get completely smashed. Oh look, we've got our nipples, we've got our hublongs, and of course, right when he throws one, just that sound when he.
And it's the hog lumps as well that got fucking thrown in his face earlier.
Right, yeah, this movie's just got so many throwbacks, and I love his mom immediately as she sees him pickle. She's so sweet and so nice, and as soon as Shaun shows up, it feels like he starts taking charge. He's like, what's with the power? What's the phone situation? And he's trying to plan. You got to give Shaun credit, like, for a guy who's fucked up his whole life. The end of the world is like, it almost seems like an opportunity for him to fix things. It took the world ending to get him to be like, oh yeah, I maybe need to hunker down and like be an adult and take some charge, and I think that's great. But I love that, of course, David, how did you get in? He's like, there is a back door, David. I tried to tell you that before you smashed the front window. Like, I'm not the one who blew our cover by having a tiff with my boyfriend. He's not my boyfriend. And he shows up with the beer. He's like, might be a bit warm. The cooler's off. Thanks, babe.
Oh, it's so good, man. I love that fucking dynamic.
Yeah, it's great. And of course, Liz, so what's the plan then? And they're all just sitting around. And this totally cuts back to what David says. He's like, this is a man who's, what are we going to do besides sitting around and eating peanuts in the dark? And of course it cuts to Shaun and he's like, would anyone like a peanut?
Standard Edgar Wright.
Yeah, I think that's so great. That's really, again, just another throwback. It's so funny. And they try to get Ed to start doing his impression of the chimp from Every Which Way But Loose, which I've never seen. I've never even I don't even know anybody who's seen that movie.
Neither.
Yeah, but that's when they start talking about the lights come on outside, the street lights, and Shaun's like, well, no, it's not the grid, it's the breaker. I'll just have to go and flip them, and of course David starts into, well, wouldn't you? It's quite simple, David, and he kind of tucks his tie a little bit and walks off. Another one of my favorite shots of the movie, because he goes back there and starts flipping those switches, and
dude, the way they're just behind him.
Oh my God, that's so terrifying. To think that you just totally lost them, and it's like, no, quite the opposite. They're all at the back door right now. Like, oh my God, and just the way he looks over, sees it, turns back to the panel, flips the switch, closes it, turns around and drops the shade and just walks away. That's so good. And just Simon Pegg, he's just really quaint in the way he does stuff. He's like, nope, 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 and just like walks out of the room. But yeah, he comes back in with Liz and starts talking to Liz. He's like, we might have a bit of a problem, and he's like they're around back. I thought you said you gave him a slip. Yeah. He's like, I thought I did. But of course, there's Ed, immediately, playing that fucking game, which actually that game pops up in all three of the movies. In Hot Fuzz, it's when they're jumping through the air, shooting at the bar, Roy and his wife. You hear the boom, beedle-dam, dam, deedle-dam. It's this little sound, and you also hear it in The World's End when they're running through the bars. There's a little boom, deedle-dam, dam, deedle-dam. It's so cool. I love catching that every time in the movies, but yeah, as soon as Ed throws that quarter in and that machine just starts going ape shit. I love because they yank the machine out and there's like David with Di, and then there's Shaun with Liz, and then there's I think it's David with Di. I'm not sure, but everybody kind of puts a hand on each other, and Ed puts a hand on Barbara's shoulder like he's there to protect her.
I feel like it kind of ties into the mum jokes earlier.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Like everyone's like kind of like romantically involved, and Ed just like puts his hand on his mum who is wanting to fuck.
Yeah, right. That's so fucking good. But yeah, John pops up, and they start. That's when all the power comes on, and the Queen song starts playing, which is, of course, I'm a huge Queen fan.
I think this might be one of my favorite sequences in the movie.
Oh, yeah. It's, again, super iconic. There's so many really, really iconic scenes in this movie that it's like, it's hard to pick a favorite, but there's just so many really good scenes that that wind up kind of that wind up just sticking in your head forever. Especially, you know, like when the Don't Stop Me Now comes on and they're all hitting him with the pool cues. But I love, you know, as Shaun, you know, Shaun's like, David, kill the queen. What? I mean, the jukebox. You know, that's such a funny line. I love that. And, you know, what are we going to do? And, you know, he grabs the pool cue and he's like, all right, John, it's time at the bar, you know, and just immediately in sync with everything, like whacking. And it cuts over to Diane and Shaun's mom, and they're watching them and they're kind of moving in sync with them. Like they're kind of like bobbing their heads to the rhythm of them beating this guy.
Yeah, this guy's also in, fucking, what's his name? He's in Hot Fuzz, and he plays Roy, the one who I was talking about earlier. That Nick Frost is like, yeah, Roy.
Oh, it's the same bartender?
I believe so, dude. Like, he looks super familiar, and I think he might be.
I could believe it. He kind of, like, I'm watching it right now, and he kind of looks like him in the face a little bit, you know?
Yeah, because, like, I remember him saying, he's like, would you like another cranberry juice?
Yeah.
I think that might be him. But yeah, anyway, go on.
No, it totally could be. I hope it is, because that's just, again, another throwback, another tie-in to these movies. It's so great. But yeah, this whole sequence is great, you know, and then I love Diane, you know, and she throws the dart. She throws the dart, and he's like, yeah, in the head, and she throws it, pops Shaun in the head. Like the way, you know, again, he's out of frame, and then Simon Pegg's head just pops back up into frame with the dart in the side of his head, and his scream is, ow, it's so good.
I love it.
But then there's also David fucking with the switches in the back, and he's just basically creating like a laser light show for these fucking things.
I know. So if you didn't have their attention before, you've got it now.
Right, and they're busting in through the back, and I love that whole thing. Why is Queen still on? We have a situation. I know. That's so good. But Ed ditches the pool cue. He's like, fuck this, you know, where are you going? 2 seconds, you know, everything. It's a throwback, all these lines. And that's when Lucy Davies starts throwing the darts, and pops Shaun in the head. But I love, you know, Ed throws him the rifle and he just clubs him and sends him right into the jukebox. And I love, you know, the scene kind of dies down and everyone's just like, oh. And Ed in the background, why did you shoot him, man? And of course he turns around and Ed, for the last time, bang, and that gun goes off and blows a bottle up like right between David and Ed. And I love Ed's reaction. I fucking knew it. That's such a good line. But I love, and it's so good. He's like, all right, and he pops the dart out of his head. He's like, but dogs can't look up. And I love that, like, finding a gun, you know, in this place is kind of a rarity. You know, I'm sure there's guns in England, but for them to find a gun, you know, is probably somewhat of a big deal. And I love, you know, has anybody used a gun before? You know, has anybody used a gun before? And Ed just immediately, oh, yeah. Like, he's like some badass.
I know.
But I love that. I'm sorry, what was that experience? He shot his sister in the leg with an air rifle once.
That's so good, man. I fucking love that.
Which, I'm not going to lie, I feel like that's a throwback, or like, not a throwback, but later on in Hot Fuzz, you know, he shoots the doctor in the leg with an air rifle. And it's like, I feel like that's, right. I feel like that's kind of, I feel like that's even kind of like a little hint at, you know, somebody getting shot in the leg with an air rifle. I was like, oh, that's pretty funny.
Man, like you said, it wouldn't surprise me.
Right, yeah. So yeah, they're trying to figure out, you know, I need you guys, I need one person to reload, I'll shoot, you guys tell me where they are. You know, the only thing that will redeem mankind is cooperation. You know, and that's apparently it's a quote from Bertram Russell that was on the back of some beer that Shaun was drinking, and I love Liz. She's like, is that on the back of an ale? He's like, yeah. She's like, I won't tell anyone. He's like, thanks, babe. But yeah, Liz, you know, that's when Liz takes Barbara over to the side and is like, yeah, would you like to come with me? That'd be lovely. You know, she's just so, even up until the end, because, you know, she's about to die here in about 60 seconds. And even up until the end, she's just such a incredibly polite human being. You know, it's just insane. You know, she gives Liz the necklace that Shaun's real dad gave to her. which is a big deal. That's a really touching moment in this. These two people who have never met before, they've only known each other a few hours, but just both of them. Both of them and their love for Shaun, the same way that Philip and Shaun love Mom. There's always that's an interesting kind of dynamic to see. Even with David, David loves Liz, but and maybe in more of a possessive way. But he definitely really does care about Liz. Like you can tell, he really, really does care about her. So it's kind of interesting to see all these almost like these Three's Company kind of things going on, which is kind of interesting. Just like not a love triangle, but you know what I mean. There's always kind of three people mixed up in something. But I love is that's going on with Barbara and Liz. Shaun, he's like, I'm sorry, we're closed, and he goes to shoot, and it just clicks. And there goes another one of Ed's really infamous lines. Oh, cock it, and he just cocks the gun and immediately has it. But yeah, they're just basically kind of navigating Shaun as he's popping through and being really specific. He's like
11:45.
Yeah, what does that mean? 11:45. That's so good. And he's yelling for them to keep it simple. And this whole thing later. With Ed, again, this is another throwback. Ed's like, top left, and he turns around and shoots top left, reload, and that's all from when Ed was playing the game earlier, playing Time Splitters. That's the stuff that...
I think it's also sort of worth noting here that this is the section where everything kind of gets super violent. The movie, okay, it's been violent up to this point, but even when Shaun hits the zombies with the bats, there's not really any blood spurts and things like that. We haven't seen too much violence. It's not until here that we get full on fucking hardcore Dawn of the Dead zombie violence, and it's not until that fucking Mr. Harry Potter over here gets absolutely devoured.
And that's such a beautiful scene.
Yeah, but that's coming up. But first we get that pretty awesome scene where he points the gun at Barbara.
Right, yeah. And that's that... the whole scene of her dying is just... Oh, my God.
Brutal.
That really... that reminds me of another movie that we're going to talk about soon that I'm not gonna say anything at all, but it reminds me of a certain scene from a certain movie. I think you know what I'm talking about. But it's absolutely brutal seeing this person die and it's seeing Shaun's mom die, and just him, I love her last line. It's been a funny sort of day, hasn't it?
It's kind of funny because I don't know what you're talking about. Can you give me a hint? On-air hint? Subtle on-air hint?
We'll talk about it in our next episode.
Oh, right. I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
But yeah, I love that she figures out, she puts two and two together and finds that Shaun gave her the flowers. Just to really, I love what Christoph Waltz says in Django, just a last moment with a loved one before they die. It's oh my God, that's so true. Just that last moment that he gets to have with her is more than what most people in these situations have probably gotten. But yeah, as soon as she turns, you hear that and there's David back there with the rifle. And then we have that whole Mexican standoff. I love, Shaun breaking the bottle and pulling it on David. Ed breaking the bottle and pulling it on David. Diane's like, this is hardly fair. And he hands her the broken bottle and then picks up a corkscrew and hands it to David, or holds it to David's throat.
Yeah, I know.
Such a good little Mexican standoff. But this is where he's like, you've always hated me, and now you just want to shoot my mom because you're in love with Liz. And this whole thing comes out. Diane's like, yes, I came to terms with that.
Simon Pegg is so fucking good here.
Yes, he is, dude. Just the tears, the blood coming down the side of his head, that deer hunter rag around his head.
The way he's just yelling, he's got his head tilted, and he's just shouting it. Oh, it's so good.
Right, yeah. None of this seems dialed in. It's dude, this is the crux of the film in a way, because this whole confrontation has been boiling down between the two of them, and it's time that these guys have words. But I love this whole thing. It's you're the one who's gone from a chartered accountant to Charlton Heston. Yeah, I'm not a chartered accountant. Yeah, I'm not a chartered accountant. Yeah, well, you look like one. Yeah, I'm a lecturer. You're a twat. It's so good. All their dialogue is just, again, blink and you miss it, man. It's so good.
You know what I hate though? The way Liz diffuses the situation. She bumps the gun. She like bumps the barrel down. Like you don't do that when someone's pointing a gun at someone.
Right? Yeah,
You know, if they've got their finger on the trigger, you don't bump the gun in any way, shape, or form.
Especially this guy, he'll probably blow somebody's fucking kneecap
This guy's
out.
unstable as shit, right? Like,
Right. But yeah, this is where Liz breaks it down for Shaun. She's like, I can't even begin to imagine how hard this must be for you, but we can't afford to fall apart. And it's just, God, I know you don't want to hear this, but of course, right when she's saying that, Shaun's mom pops up, and it's like, what's about to happen. And, that's such a brutal, having to shoot your own mom,
and what a bitch. Like, he's like, you do it.
Right,
Fucking-
immediately. Yeah, it's like, dude, you're the one who was all gun happy and ready to go 30 seconds ago. What the fuck happened?
You were literally a Trump supporter half a second ago.
Yeah, right. Right? Totally. But again, David, well, I think we all agree you did the right thing. And just that, the moment we've been waiting for the whole movie, turns around and just punches him right in the fucking mouth. And I was like, yes. Like, I've been waiting for that for so long. And he's such a, I can't, it's hard for me to think of a more snivelingly shitty, just like, meh, kind of character in a lot of movies.
We got a better moment like a couple minutes later.
Oh,
Holy
dude, yes.
fucking shit. You want to talk about this?
Well, dude, before we skip over it, the part that's nuts, he punches David. David picks the rifle up and pulls the trigger. He pulls the fucking trigger, man. And, like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, at that point, I just don't see how, like, you would even leave that person in your group anymore. I'd kill you. I would just straight up fucking kill you.
No, there's no redemption for him.
No, not at all. And yeah, that's where David, I love David. He's like, all right, I'm leaving. And Liz is like, don't go. It's suicide. And I love Ed. I think you should go. It's just like so casual about it. But, this is where we get Diane's really, really great kind of moment. She's like, you came here because you were scared. You didn't know what to do, just like I did. So get away from that door this instant. But David, I love
that. I love her. She's like, David.
Yeah, the way she's yelling and her eyes are watering, that vein is popping in her head. It's like, dude, this, and pay attention also to like the color saturation, the colors, saturation, and like the hues and the color grading of this, because now everything's gotten really dark and kind of like ambery looking in this bar. And that's when they, I do try to give David some credit. The last thing he's going to say before he's brilliantly ripped to shreds is he's trying to apologize to Shaun, but it's too little too late. And they fucking yank his ass through that window. And what is one of the most violent deaths I think I've seen in a movie. It's really brutal, man. Like I've it's just, God, they pull him out that window and immediately, just start pulling his fucking guts out. I mean, I've mentioned this before too. I've got a thing about guts, like psychosomatic kind of stuff about like intestines and stuff. So like that hits me really hard to see him like just totally disemboweled, and they rip his head and his arms and legs off. Like the only thing that gets me through it is because he's such a colossal fucking douche nozzle that I don't mind watching him get ripped to bits by this fucking thing. But of course, Diane, I don't know what the fuck she's thinking, like she's like, running out after him, and she takes one of his legs and starts swinging it into the crowd of zombies. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I did. That was fucking, it's so, this has just escalated from, from 0 to 100 in like 90 minutes. It's just gone so like we are in the point of like ridiculousness now.
Yeah, everything's gone tits up, really. But I love. Apparently, they in the extended version, they have actually a little comic strip that shows that Diane lives. Apparently, she like fights her way through the crowd and winds up crawling up a tree or something like that. Yeah, we don't see that, but and I think later on at the end of the movie, there's a framed picture of Ed, Barbara, and Diane on their kitchen table or something later on when it shows Ed and Liz kind of living together. So I guess they scrapped that and just killed her off. But either way, I didn't assume that she lived. I never would have guessed that she would, unless I read that in the bonus features. But But yeah, I love the scene coming up because that's, Liz has that coat rack. Shaun puts his back into it, and he's firing from one side and pushing with his back into the coat hanger from the other, or coat rack. And I love Ed, lighting that Molotov. And who's the one who fucking grabs him by the arm and drops it? But Pete. And Pete shows right back up.
Pete.
I love that. Shaun, look who it is. Fuck a doodle-doo. That line comes back again. That's so good.
Fuck a doodle-doo.
But I think this whole thing is really kind of symbolic of, not to get too meta or like too hefty here, but you've got Liz holding back all of these zombies.
Nerd.
Yeah, right. Let's really get into the nitty gritty of Shaun of the Dead and break down.
Let's get into the layers and the fucking philosophical points of it.
Yeah, right. But I do think this scene is really symbolic of, here's Liz 2 feet away from you, and she's holding 30-something zombies back with a coat rack, and there's Ed, and you're worried about Ed, and just constantly, here's Liz yelling for Shaun, who's yelling for Ed. It's so symbolic of the movie.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I do agree with you on that point, dude. Yeah, for sure. Like, it's the story of Shaun of the Dead. It's saying that this guy's going to choose between his best buddy or like his romantic interest, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not until that life and death situation that like it doesn't force him to like full on make a choice, but like the way it's shown like subtly, I guess, like the way they're sort of combating each other and like who they're shouting out for, it's very telling. It's very telling of where each character's like mindset is.
Right, exactly. And it's really not until Ed is basically, and that's just, that's a really hard scene to watch, seeing Ed get, bitten by Pete.
Because he's so likable, man.
Oh, yeah. And like, what's funny is that Lindsay, my girlfriend, she saw Hot Fuzz first, and then we watched World's End, and then she saw Shaun of the Dead. So when Ed gets bitten, she like, she was like pissed off when he got bit, because, she's a big Walking Dead fan. She knows what happens. You're not coming back from that, even if you don't die immediately. But I love, hey, Pete, and I said, leave him alone. That's such a great line, and the way it's delivered and just blows his fucking head off. That's so good. And of course, Liz is like, Shaun, bar, and they run and jump over and get into the bar. And the whole time, there's Shaun screaming, Ed, Ed, like trying to figure out where Ed is, and it's like, dude, start worrying about yourself. Like, I love Ed as much as you do, but it's like, dude, you've got to, Ed's going to die regardless now. It's like, you've got to start looking out for you and Liz. Like, this is not your game anymore. But yeah, takes the liquor, lights the bar on fire, and immediately, where's the shells? They're on the bar. But yeah, and I love him trying to reach for him and just burns the fuck. Simon Pegg's reaction when it burns the fuck out of his arm is so funny, like the way he fidgets and shit.
I love his reaction when the old lady comes through the bar.
Oh yeah! Oh, for fuck's sake! Someone give us a break!
It feels so natural.
Yeah, and the way, what's hilarious is this fire starts making the bullets just fire off, and
I
it's
love that.
actually
I knew that was going to happen as well. Yeah,
and it's actually better aimed than they're doing. Like, it's like bouncing off bells and hitting them in the head and shit. But yeah, they basically get to the crawl space, the cellar underneath the bar. And yeah, Ed's not looking good. Ed's bleeding, out of the arm, out of like the neck. And they realize that they're kind of stuck down there, that the doors that lead out to the street are blocked off or locked, and just these big steel trap doors, and I love Shaun. He's like, that's it, then we're trapped, and he's like, let's go to the Winchester. Whose fucking idea was that? It's like, dude, his like, this is again one of Simon Pegg's greatest moments. I couldn't save us, Liz. I couldn't save my mom. I couldn't save Ed. It's like, or I couldn't save Di or David. It's like, oh my God, he's just really, he calls himself useless. It's like such a heartbreaking moment. But I love Liz. She's like, you tried, you did something. That's what counts, and that's really, I think, the message that Shaun isn't getting about his life is like, just try to do something more than what you're doing now. And that's really telling of Liz to be the one saying it to him. I think is great. But yeah, they start saying, they're going to come through. How many shells do we have left? And I love, he says 2. I suppose we could take out some of them if we got them in a line. It's like such a, oh my God, like what an idiot. But this scene's really, I mean, like the light is flickering, it's dark in there. Shaun is covered in blood by this point. Like just as the film goes on, just more and more and more blood just every time. And by the end of it, his shirt is just like pink with blood.
He looks like the bathroom in the new It.
Oh my God. Yeah,
that
right.
Gets absolutely destroyed.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that scene, I was like, holy shit. But I love Ed. He's like, I don't mind being eaten. Like, it's like, thanks, Ed. Way to take one for the team. Yeah, they start contemplating, who's going to shoot who. Maybe one should do the other and then themselves. I love Liz. Maybe you should do it on me. I'll only muck it up if I do it myself. And Shaun, I don't think I have it in me to shoot my mom, my flatmate, and my girlfriend all in one day. I love she kind of tries to play with them a little bit. She's like, what makes you think I've taken you back? He's like, you don't want to die single, do you?
See, but that makes you think, man, like what a fucking hard day it's been for him as well.
Dude, yeah, right? And it's like the way this movie starts is very deceiving. You think, I mean, maybe things aren't going to go according to plan. That's the movie. That's what makes it fun. But I didn't think it was ever going to be like this for him. I didn't think that the day was, and I think that's why the movie works as well as it does, because we're expecting a whole different movie. Because like you said, you loving that first half hour because it is great and it's super funny. But then they start pulling some fucking haymakers out. Right, like what you were talking about, right around here. Diana dies, that sounds weird. Diana dies, and then David dies, and then Barbara dies, like all in this pub, just really quickly. But yeah, this is great because I love that she's the one who pulls the cigarettes out, and he's like, you sneaky little monkey, and I love that lighting, they go to light the cigarette and they see the control panel right there, which is funny. A cigarette saved your life. That's so weird to think. That always cracks me up in that scene, that lighting the cigarette is what saved their lives to get out of here. But unfortunately not for Ed, which is, it's not all going to be, thunderstorms and rain for Ed. We'll see him at the end of this thing, but this scene is just really, oh man, this is like don't get me wrong, Shaun shooting his mom is I think that holds a lot more emotional brevity than this scene, but him saying goodbye to Ed after, we've been so emotionally invested in the relationship, but it felt like this moment was coming, but we didn't think that it was literally Ed being taken away from Shaun. Like, I thought maybe it'd be some kind of amicable, like, hey, I've got to grow up, we can't be hanging out like this anymore, but just to see him actually like taken away from Shaun is gut-wrenching. And I love, he's like, come on, we'll get out of here. And he's like, no, I'll only hold you back, which is a whole other line. All he ever does is hold you back. And it's again, another throwback line, but it's such a hard scene to watch because you see the realization coming over Simon Pegg's face. He's like, yeah, I see what you mean, and he's like, hands him the rifle and, tells him to take it. But yeah, God, poor Ed. He just looks terrible. They kind of make amends. He's like, I'm sorry. I was shouting at you earlier on. And I love Ed. I'm sorry too. He's like, for what? And then there's that cut back to the fart from earlier. And, that's so good. So many throwbacks and stuff, but he's like, I'll stop doing them when you stop laughing. He's like, I'm not laughing. And they, their heads kind of connect and you can tell he's not laughing. Like this is not, he's heartbroken, and it's, the music hits and it's such a hard scene. The frame of them with their heads connected together and he puts the cigarette in Ed's mouth and lights it for him. It's like, God, that is really hard to watch, man. That's really hard to watch.
It's so rough.
Yeah, and they're breaking in through the top, and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm getting like, I'm getting man feels over here from watching this right now because I haven't seen it in so long." But
all right, Colin, let's get past this.
I love. They're like, bye Ed, love you, and and they go up to the top, and what's Ed's last line? Yeah, there you go, gay. God, it's just such a great scene. It really, I love it.
What do you think about this part, man? When they get topside. This was so unexpected.
Yeah, right. For one thing to note, when they come topside, immediately to Simon Pegg's right is Chris Martin from Coldplay. He's like right next to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like right there by the phone booth. So Yeah, I this totally caught me off guard. Which it kind of makes sense though, in like a global catastrophe like this. Like, I'm not saying that like. I mean, the government would eventually have some kind of lethal response to this, and I'm surprised it took this long. But, seeing them show up is not all that surprising. It's just kind of like, I don't know, I feel like these are the guys from 28 Days Later,
For sure. 28 weeks, I think, is a bit more accurate because that follows more the military aspect of it.
Okay, yeah.
But this was like the way this was like cut and everything like that. The way they just fucking point their rifles, they're fucking the rifles look like something straight out of Aliens. Like they look like colonial marines,
right?
And
yeah,
they just fucking fire their rounds into these zombies and they just fucking explode into a hail of like blood.
Yeah, I love those. I might be saying it. Well, is it Dutch angles? Is that where they come in kind of sideways on you?
Yeah. So Dutch angles is the sideways sort of shot, and that's definitely what's going on here. And we're complete like with Edgar Wright's usual editing cuts and things like that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's Yvonne, and I guess Yvonne has somehow wrangled up these guys, and she's still running with the golf club. That's what's great. And she, clubs those two bikers, and
who are also in Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I love. Yeah, they're the meat market guys. But I love, she's like, is it just the two of you? Yeah. And again, a throwback line. Well, I'm glad to see somebody made it. It's the same thing that she says to them earlier when their doppelgangers cross paths. But just that shot of Shaun and Liz as they're walking off holding hands and that headlight is on them. That's such a good shot. I really like that. But yeah, we fade to black and come back up, and it's basically remembering Z-Day, and there's the story of a boy who had to kill his whole family. The young Richard Ramirez fought off the reanimated corpses. It's so good. But yeah, basically talking about what happened. The funny part is when they show this group of zombies, there's one who trips and falls in the back, and that's Edgar Wright, actually. Yeah, he's the one that falls. It's just a random, quick little cut that they do. But yeah, Coldplay's doing a charity event called Zombaid. They're doing reality shows with zombies. They're on something called Trisha, which I guess is just like daytime television. Some woman's just saying she's going to stay married to her zombie, which is
reminds me of the joke. The show Jessica Jones. There's a show called Trish Talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's basically just like daytime television, like talk show stuff. But yeah, so we get a view in on Shaun and Liz's life. Same house, I guess, but quite a bit different. It looks so much nicer. New carpets, definitely has a feminine touch to things now. Walls have been painted. There's nice artwork up. I love the way this house looks, actually.
Oh yeah, for sure. It looks a lot better.
Yeah, but there's that throwback of him waking up like a zombie, and going and sitting on the couch. But yeah, in the background, actually, yeah, there's a framed picture of Barbara, Philip, and Diane. So I guess she has died in the official film or whatever. But we'll go down, pick up the Sundays, have a Phoenix for a roast, veg out at the pub for a bit, wander home, watch a bit of telly, and go to bed. And that's I love the way that it ends for these guys. Just them together.
Did you notice that he now gets 2 sugars?
Yeah, and someone's feeling adventurous.
Yeah.
Which, kind of, yeah, so Shaun is somewhat of a changed man now. It's like that shows that he's trying to change his ways a little bit, I feel. And I thought about just popping off to the shed for a minute. Go on then. 2 seconds.
This might be one of my favorite endings to a movie ever, I think. I love the way this ends, dude. It's so touching. It's just beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Especially, and like I said before, I'm just such a huge Queen fan. So to hear, player 2 has entered the game, and then there's Ed right there. I absolutely love the way the shed door looks. You can tell they just kind of like put the same shed door back together and nailed it up. It looks so janky. But yeah, so they're just keeping Ed in the shed out back. You want to go live like an animal? Go live out in the shed, you thick fuck. Like there's again another throwback line. But yeah, I think that's a great way to end it. Ed trying to take a bite out of him. Ed, and it just looks down and he's so just good. Like staring off, jamming buttons on the controller. But yeah, and that's basically Shaun of the Dead, man. Wrapping it up.
Done. Oh, yeah. Fuck me. I love this movie, man. It was so fucking good. I got a quote from your boy, Stephen King. he said it's a 10 on the fun meter and destined to be a cult classic, which it totally is, man. Like this movie,
Yes.
it's been 15 years nearly for this movie to be out, and like we're still talking about it. People are still talking about it. It's still so relevant and still so highly enjoyable. It hasn't aged a day. Like, man, this thing is so. It's so fucking fun, and it's so endlessly rewatchable. Like, it hasn't lost anything, one iota.
No, one thing, I do have a little piece of trivia here. They actually did fumble around with the idea of a sequel for this. Kind of half-heartedly, kind of serious at the same time, but they were going to call it From Dusk Till Shaun. And they thought it would be... Yeah, they thought it'd be funny to do something with like vampires or werewolves or something, but they were like, no, it's a great standalone film on its own.
Absolutely,
and they did.
Yeah, it totally is an absolutely great like standalone film, and look, I don't think it needs a sequel. I don't know what they do with the sequel, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just, there's too many questions and not enough, like, oh yeah, that would be really cool. Like, it's too many questions for what, the zombie outbreak happens again? Like, what? I don't know. It just seems silly. But one thing I did think was funny was when they did the press tour for Hot Fuzz, they were in Alamo Drafthouse in Texas, and Kevin Smith was on stage with them after the film.
Oh my God,
he said he was talking about how he was like, they were writing Hot Fuzz, and I was like, dude, just write it, just get it out, just write it. And Edgar Wright, when Simon Pegg were, no, we're going to take our time, because there's like a 3-year gap between these movies, and Kevin Smith was like, yeah, so I kept nagging them to write something. I made Jersey Girl, and they made Hot Fuzz. So what the fuck do I know? And I thought that was so funny.
Fuck me, I love Kevin Smith. I love his self-deprecating humor.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, one of my favorite movies of all time. I am very excited to eventually get the whole trilogy covered. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But yeah, this has been. I mean, I think we've laughed the most through this podcast more than any of the other ones because we've done, Django, which definitely has funny moments, not laughable. Zodiac, not laughable at all. Like there's really no comedy in those. So to have this is just like the perfect cup of tea for us because we've got something that's zombie related and really gory and has some great action sequences, but at the same time we're laughing our asses off and quoting this thing. I quote this thing every day of my life. If it's not this, it's Hot Fuzz or World's End or something. And I really thank you to Edgar Wright and everybody for one of the best movies of all time. And I will always own this. My original DVD copy is now scratched to the point where it won't play. So I bought it on Blu-ray, but I'm not throwing it away. It's like I bought that thing when I was like 16, and it's 12 years old. It's like I'm never gonna throw that thing away. It's like
got a loyalist on our hands,
dude. So sentimental to me. But yeah, that's really my closing thoughts. What about you, Bo? What do you think?
Dude, you know what? I mean, I'm not. Like I said, man, I fucking love this movie. I love it so much. It's, like I said, man, endlessly rewatchable. Definitely, probably sits at like number 2 of like Edgar Wright's best movies. Like behind Hot Fuzz for me. But yeah, man, this is so. I love this. This movie is so tight. It's so tightly written. It's so tightly edited. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are just incredible together. Seriously, they anytime they're together, even Paul was okay, that movie.
Yeah, I love Paul.
Yeah, but they together made it so much better, man. Like, like their pairing just adds so much to a film. But yeah, man, look, I'm really excited to see what else Edgar Wright has in store because this guy's a hell of a director, and it's a real shame he didn't get to make Ant-Man in the MCU.
Right.
But yeah, look, man, like I said, this movie is fucking fantastic, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see what else Edgar Wright does again.
Absolutely, man. That's great. So yeah, I'm super excited to eventually get to Hot Fuzz and The World's End because, like I've said before, this is probably fuck it. This is my favorite trilogy of all time. I think it's perfect.
We have an official, ladies and gentlemen, we have an official declaration.
Yeah, I'm taking the fucking gloves off. But no, this movie is responsible for a lot of my humor and the way I am today and what I find funny, because it's one of the funniest movies of all time, and I think it's one of the best movies of all time, and I can't suck this dick hard enough, so I'm just going to leave it at that. And yeah, I think if you guys want to reach out to us, midnightdoublefeature@gmail.com. We're also on on the iTunes app. We're on Libsyn if you ever want to go there. Also on Facebook at Midnight Double Feature. We've got the After Party, which is our group related to that, where we post all of our memes and stupid jokes and dick pics and stuff. But
do you want to tease our next episode, Colin? Because I'm probably going to release these like really close together. It's not really going to be that much of a teaser, but yeah.
Well, yeah. So basically, we're going to be doing. Do you just want me flat out say it? Or you want me to tease them?
Just say it. They won't even have a chance to fucking guess it. To be honest,
yeah,
it's
right.
Be coming out so close.
But yeah, we're going to be doing a review of Infinity War. Me and Zoheb and our really good friend Matt Vella. We're super excited to have him on here again. I'm excited to finally sit down and like talk and have a conversation with him, because that's going to be a load of fun. I know we're going to probably talk each other's ears off because we're all big movie guys, and especially with Matt, directing Bleeding Backs and stuff. I'm definitely excited to have him on here. And I think that, yeah, especially with being such a big comic book fan. Now, we are going to break the episode down. We're going to have a little bit beforehand that's not spoiler territory, but you guys will get definitely a heads up when we start moving into spoiler territory. And yeah, if you guys have seen it, send us an email, write us a comment, but don't spoil it for anyone, please, But yeah, we're excited to hear what you guys think about Infinity War. So shoot us an email, let us know what's up, and I guess we'll talk to you guys later.